Hello, everybody.
Yo.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the very first episode of the Index podcast. I'm Kuro, in case you guys don't know who I am, which I hope you do know who I am. Um, basically, we are starting off this podcast with basically we want to kind of like follow this like format since you guys are this is like the first time you've seen a podcast around, I guess, like our area of community and whatnot. But basically, we'll have like a format every show where we start off with introducing each other or introducing ourselves. Like I'll probably introduce myself each time, and introduce our guests as well. But basically, I'm Kuro, and I'm a mental health activist. I like to dance in VR. I obviously stream basically every day, except for Mondays when I'm on time. But we're basically gonna be dry running this right now. This is the official first episode, but if something seems a little bit off, or if we do something like it doesn't work, or something's like wrong or whatever, audio issues, video issues, whatever, transitions, stuff like that, mind that. I'm trying my best. But yeah, sweet, you want to go ahead?
Yeah. Hello. My name is Sweet. Short for Sweet Heat because I like short names. And I'm excited to be here. So I guess I'll start with a dancer first of all, and also a Twitch streamer. So I stream my dances, and really excited to be here. I mean, I've been in VRC for like 3 years, which has completely changed my life. So to do something like this and be part of a podcast is really cool. Um, I'm also dating Kuro, if y'all don't
Oh,
know.
wow, wait,
Very.
jeez, I wonder who didn't know. So we have a
um,
special guest. Every show will have a special guest. And today we have Girls.
Hello.
Gosh, first guest.
Oh, it's okay. Yeah. Hey, my name is
Yeah.
Girls. I'm very happy to be here. I am a streamer. I usually stream VRChat, but lately I've been doing a lot of just retro stuff. I too am a mental health advocate, and I love providing people just a comfy, warm space that they can go and relax and chill out. I I'm actually really excited for this because I've been wanting to do interviews for a while as well. I actually did an interview with Kuro a few months ago. That one,
Oh
I
yeah,
really
yeah, yeah.
enjoyed. That was
I
a
was actually
really
so
fun
nervous for that.
conversation.
I was
Really?
like, yeah, because well, here's the thing, like, and no matter what interview setting you're in, no matter if it's
Yeah.
like casual interview, it's always like the idea of an interview is like, okay, I gotta share stuff about myself. I have to be,
Yeah.
some sort of like thing that this person's expecting of me, and people are gonna judge me on this interview. So I remember when I was like,
Huh.
going to your interview the first time, I was like, oh my god, what questions are gonna ask me? What are they gonna ask me? So I was like trying to think of what question, because when you rehearse like a job, you think about what questions they're gonna ask you. So when it comes to
Yeah.
friends interviewing friends, the same thing actually works. Where like you're thinking about what questions they're gonna ask you.
Mm,
Was it actually that bad though when we were doing
No,
those
no, 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 no,
interviews?
no, no.
Oh,
It
okay.
wasn't.
I feel like
Once
you're
I got
okay.
there, and we were
Yeah.
like sitting there, I felt like natural. I think we talked like an hour and a half or something like that.
we all
Um,
talked for a
We
while.
did.
and
Yeah.
that's part of the reason why I
Gosh.
was like, we need to have Ogirls as our first guest, because Ogirls is like, a talker, and they're like, there's someone who is always on stream and
I like
always like,
to talk.
talking 24/7.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for my KKK. Maybe soon.
Oh yeah,
With
I'd
all
love to
girls.
A sweet
interview
interview.
you. I would love
Yeah,
that.
I get.
You
I
want to
would
be my
love to
next
too.
guest?
Yes,
That'd be good.
absolutely.
Okay.
I would love to. I want to pick your brain on stuff. I actually want to do it on this on
There
podcast
you.
too.
Oh wait, you do this every Wednesday. We'll
Yeah,
talk.
the show is gonna be
We'll
every
talk.
Wednesday at 7. Every Wednesday at 7 o'clock. It might be subject to change though, since Sweet actually has work, and I forgot about that. So it
Yeah.
might be pushed to 8 o'clock on Wednesdays, or a different day, or potentially a weekend day. Maybe Saturdays. I don't know. Nothing goes on Saturdays really, so a podcast on Saturday be nice to listen to. Also, if you guys are watching right now, if you're watching on YouTube, the show is always gonna be uploaded on YouTube the next day, so you can always catch the podcast on YouTube. But basically, what I wanted to mention is the idea of having a virtual podcast, because there are tons and tons of podcasts out there, and what's interesting about most podcasts is there's not a lot of well, there are, but they're not as common, since people usually listen to podcasts just audio. But think about streamers and how we use avatars to represent ourselves and the nature and environment that we're in. Having it as in a podcast form is a little bit different, right? I feel like you get to see us in like a totally different setting and a totally different light, especially because most of the time when we're streaming, because the main objective to have streamers on the show is that we're talking to cameras, not other people. So most of the time, if we're talking, it's mostly a one-sided conversation. So the idea behind the podcast is basically to show the audience and you guys how we are, I guess, like in a conversation like with our friends. Sweet and I wanted to start this podcast basically off that idea, since we've always been like, man, we should record our conversations. We need to show people how we have conversations and what we talk about, because we talk about serious stuff, man. This is serious. This is good information. I wish I was recording a conversation. That's basically how every single time when we're having a deep conversation about something goes on. And I think when I was like, man, we have to have Ogles on the show. I thought about our interview and I was like, man, Ogles can talk for a while too. So it's like a perfect combination, especially to have as like a first guest on the show. So thank you for being on here and being on the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited.
Have you ever I guess like been on like a live show? Like, I don't want to say like a stream, obviously been on a stream, but like a show where something's like scripted or something's like a recording and it's like being done like a stage. I guess like a stage is a good way of putting it.
I haven't done anything like this before. I guess the closest thing is like the interviews that we do, or that I did with you. I was a theater kid, so I was always doing live performance.
Right.
So that's in that way, kind of, yes, but nothing like a podcast like this in this room with microphones.
Oh yeah, we have a fancy little public world. This world is public, by the way. So if you just search for podcast, you'll find it.
I mean, were you ever nervous or anything when you started streaming and like just being in front of the camera at all?
When I very first started streaming, I think when I actually used to have a face cam like a long time ago, like 3 years ago, before VR. I don't think you'll be able to, maybe. Maybe.
A face cam. God.
But even then, I wasn't super nervous. There's something about, in VR, especially for me, being behind an avatar and sort of,
Gosh.
I don't know, being like my community, they're my friends, and I'm super comfy around them. Now, when the times I do get nervous are when I'm actually playing music and like in front of people on stage, I get really nervous for whatever reason. And I think that might be tied into maybe me not being as comfortable singing on stage in front of people as I am just talking. For whatever reason, I don't know why that is. Maybe I'm just not as confident in my music skills and as my just normal conversation skills. But generally, no, actually. Like, just I'm thinking about the first few times I streamed VR. Now, I did get nervous, like when people would drop me, like, remember the first time someone drops you like 100-person your aid, and you're like, oh my god, I gotta be entertaining. Like, what do I do? I like, picked up the guitar, I was singing a song, and like, I was like, what do I do?
Yeah. I feel like a lot of people who stream and they get rated, I don't know if this is like how common this is, and I don't personally do this, but when they get rated, like I feel like a lot of people have like a natural reaction of like saying, "How was your stream?" Right? And I know that when I rate other people, and this is this might be relatable to you too, but when I rate other people, and I'm like I hate using the stupid VR keyboard. So when they say, "How was your stream?" You have to be like, oh, "Man, that's good." And it's like this is the default response, and like you have to close out your Streamlabs or whatever you're using, and like answer all your DMs and stuff. So it's like really hard to like type in the person's chat after they ask you how your stream was. So I try to veer away from asking them how their stream was and just be like, have a good day, because once you're done streaming, it's like you're exhausted, because streaming is mentally exhausting. So
that's true.
Going and saying everything is so difficult.
I usually just take my headset off and use the regular keyboard. Or this is something my friend taught me when I first started streaming. I don't do this enough anymore, but I used to try to do this every time. But when I raid someone who's in VRChat, I try to request off them and hang out with them for a minute and just ask them in person how they're doing.
Right.
Because that'll also like introduce my community to them and vice versa. And it's kind of a nice way to end, I think. You don't do that, which is totally. I don't think a lot of people
No, I'm
do
very
that.
so. I
You're
remember.
like, fuck it, I'm done.
Yeah, yeah. I actually am. So I remember because I remember when we funny story on how I met old girls. Basically, so I met old girls through um I can't remember if it was basically I did not want to interact with any streamers ever. When I started streaming, I was like,
No.
I
Oh my
don't want to,
God.
I don't want to, because like I had this idea when I first started streaming that every streamer was fake, every single one of them. They're entertaining, and that's all they are. There's their personality, and that's about it. And I remember when I first talked to you and like met you, like we were on stream together, and there was like a bunch of people there. Like Kitty King was there, I think Lockie was there, I think Random popped by, and afterwards, it was a couple days later, I joined you, and I was like, what, like are these people like real? Like, are these people actually serious about like hanging out with each other? And I remember like when we first hung out, that like totally changed my mind on like how some streamers are. And it's not to say there aren't streamers out there that are really fake, but that there are definitely the genuine people out there who are like 100% them all the time, and not like this personality that they're trying to be online. And I remember that was like one of the scariest things about streaming, was how do I interact with another streamer. Did you ever have a situation where you had someone on your stream that you didn't want to have be on?
Yeah. let me think. Well, there's one. Won't name names.
No,
here.
no name dropping. No name dropping.
This time Kuro came on. No,
Yeah, Sweet. Every time Sweet and I cipher, I'm like, oh my god, this guy's showing me up. I don't want to get on the stream.
I wish you guys were on more, actually. But yeah, there are a few people who like have rated me in the past. When I was starting out. I mean, even if they rated me recently, and I feel like this need to have people on who've rated me as like a thank you, like
Right.
they'll rate me and they're like, hey, can I come and see? And I'm like, sure. Some people though, I have this like kind of dread in my heart because I'm like, this person's kind of toxic, or I don't know if they're gonna say something that I like don't agree with, and so occasionally I'll have someone on who's just I know their energy is not gonna jive that well with me, and like it usually makes for a really awkward moment.
It's like if you're trying to be comfy and then someone comes in with like a buttload of energy and it like totally kills like the entire vibe that you had. Or like someone's like memeing, and you're not really in the memeing mood. And
yeah,
it's
like memeing, and like people. I remember when I first started out, people would come on constantly and just like soundboard over me and stuff, and I'm like, okay,
yeah.
none of you soundboarders are allowed on my stream ever
right.
again.
I feel that.
Or they use like meme avatars, or like I remember this one guy had like just like killer clown avatar, like Mike Myers and stuff. I'm like, I had to tell him after stream, like, hey, I don't mind you being on, but like, I had to explain the vibe I was going for. Like, I'm trying not to have a bunch of like meme stuff in my background, trying to have it really comfy. There was actually this one guy recently who rated me, and he asked to be on. He was trying to like, he was trying to like dom me and like lewd me on stream. And I was
oh
like,
my god!
Oh my god! Like, he was like drinking. He's like, whatever the normal dom talk, and I was like, people leave
midstream. People leave from your own stream.
It was really uncomfortable. Yeah, but to answer your question, yes, it happens, and I'm trying. I mean, I actually have a few stories about that in general, but like,
oh yeah, no, it definitely gets really like awkward too. I think the most the scariest part, and Sweet, I don't know if like you've had it happen to you, like with like dancing maybe, or like someone's been on stream that you like haven't like had.
Yes.
How's that been? How do you react when that happens?
I mean, I used to be on green when I streamed. And
I never see you on green ever. When I see you on green, it's actually listen. So a lot of people when they're on red, right? Everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, they're on red. Is something wrong? Oh my god, I got a DM on Discord. Are you okay? They're okay." But when Sweet's on green, that's when I'm concerned. That's when I'm like, "What's Sweet doing on green? Why is he letting people in? Sweet, what's wrong? Why are you on green?" It's basically.
But a statement when I'm on green.
Yeah.
So yeah, I used to bless IDA, but there used to be people who would come in and just hang around, and I'd be like dancing and stuff to like music that I picked out, and they'd be on the side like memeing and talking out loud and being like, yo, this song sucks, what are you doing? And I'm like trying to freaking dance.
Oh my god.
And so like that was really kind of. I'm already like a new streamer,
Hmm.
and I wanna like do good and dance well, and like to have
You still
that
classify
like
yourself as
really
a new
made me.
streamer? You been streaming for like a year now? More than a year?
Well, no, back then,
Oh, back
back then
then.
I
Oh,
had
right, back
people.
then. Back then. I guess.
Yeah, yeah. And so it's like I'm just gonna start going to DJL by myself and being on Orange, and sometimes it's lonely, but other times I'll pull specific people on, like, oh, you can come in anytime.
Mm.
Lugs can come in because he takes photos.
Hmm.
And then people who want to dance, like if
Do you
someone
have this
comes
like
in,
list of people that like you have like access code to your lobbies and stuff? It's like, okay, you're not on the
yeah.
list. I'm sorry, you can't join. You're good. You're fine. I'll accept your invite.
Here's the other thing. I pressure people. Like, if you come on and you're annoying or something, I'm like, hey, so I'm gonna play this next song, and I want you to dance with me. And they're like, oh, I gotta go. It's like, okay,
Good.
well,
That's your get out of jail free card,
this
right?
is my
That's your
set off in my jail.
yeah.
How about you?
Oh my god.
You have some
So
weird
well,
stuff
okay,
that
so
has happened?
this is an interesting story. Some people were
Yeah.
might have been here for heard about it. I don't know if you ever heard it, but basically, when I was like also new to streaming, I mean, I guess the common thing is when you get like more used to streaming, you know, like you get a vibe of somebody like that might not be
Yeah.
good for your stream. So, but basically, what had happened is, you know, we were having this is when I was like really new, maybe like the first month or so actually of streaming. But I had this person who, have you guys ever had the person in chat who's like the advice Andy, who's like trying to like help everyone and their mother
Yeah.
and like wanting to like do everything, and you're just like, what are you doing? Basically, I didn't know what that was. I didn't know like that kind of personality existed. But I had this person in chat like, you know, can I be your friend? And of course, new to streaming, like, yeah, sure, why not? Nice to meet you from Quest. So they had requested off me, and I didn't think because here's what would happen when I used to stream. I would talk, and all my friends would be in the background, but they wouldn't like talk or they wouldn't interact with me. They would just do their thing, and because they knew I was like just talking to chat, and that them being around was fine, like in the background. So like I had old friends that would just kind of sit there, like Kelsey, Brian, like they all just kind of just chill and do their own thing in the background. They wouldn't like go up to the camera and like, hi chat, good to see you, dude, like whatever and stuff like that. But this person, so I had this naive thought that they would understand, and I had never met this person in my life, ever, and they just added me just from Twitch chat. Anyway, she joins, and she just plops right down next to me, and just like, "What's up, guys? How's it going?" And I'm just like, and I never had this happen to me before, and I'm just like, yeah, this is AutoCAD, and I was like, oh my god, this happened on stream, and everyone saw her, and it was a big public thing, and AutoCAD, she basically had I want to say like it was my fault. It was my fault because the thing is, you have control of your stream. I think everyone agrees that the streamer has control of their stream the entire time, and you decide on what happens. And if you say someone can come into your lobby, you are telling them it's okay for them to join, and that's that, right? So it was my fault for saying that she could join, where I should have like thought about it. And basically what happened is like she said a lot of things that I didn't agree with, and I started panicking because I'd never have been in that situation before, where someone had been saying things to my chat and giving advice which I didn't agree with. So I was like so like, oh my god, what is happening? And it was also one of the first time I ever had like 30 viewers, and I was like, oh my god, what do I do? I don't know what to do. And I was messaging Kelsey behind the scenes on Discord saying like, help me, this person's on my stream, and I don't know what to do. I don't want to kick them out, but I don't want to leave at the same time. Like, what do I do? It was a whole gong show. I like apologized to her and everything, and told her like, it was after the fact. Basically I just left the lobby. I hit go home. I ran out. I just hit go home. It was so bad, and I was so naive to think like that you can like just let anybody and their mother in your lobbies. But I basically apologized to her. I told her, it's completely my fault. Like I shouldn't have, done that. Like, it's totally cool you being around and everything. I made a mistake. Because it wasn't her fault for coming in and voicing her opinion. That was basically the vibe I was giving off, that it was okay for her to come on my stream and voice her opinion. So it was completely my fault. I still think it's my fault to this day. And from that point on, I basically decided that nobody that I don't know is allowed on my stream or allowed in my like lobby while I'm streaming, basically. Just purely for the fact of like you don't know what they want, I guess, from coming to your stream. Like, do they want to like clout chase you? Do they want to talk to your chat? Do they want to say things to chat? Do they want to pretend it's their stream? Like you never really know what someone's intentions are. So I found it safe just to kind of solo stream all the time. And granted, there are definitely downsides to solo streaming, but
Yeah. I mean, there are times where you go into public lobbies, but like that's pretty planned, right?
right, and they don't know you're streaming. The difference is when someone comes to your lobby and they know
Yeah.
you're streaming, it's like it's a totally different feeling, a different vibe. So I don't know. For me, I personally, just from that moment, I think that's what gated me in starting to think like, okay, there's so many malicious people that want to like just, you know, come on stream and either like they're not aware that they're doing it, but like take over, right? And when I watch your streams, I'm just like, man, there are so many people in Ogros' lobby. Look at all these people. and I actually really like admire that you are so open about that and so inviting. And I think that was like one of the first things I noticed about you is like, man, Ogros is not afraid to have people on their stream, and I think it's really respectful to see that. Whereas me, I'm just like, all right, everyone sucks. I don't want anyone around me anymore, kind of thing.
I wouldn't say. Sorry, what were you gonna ask?
Do you ever feel like there are times where you want? What do you? Well, actually, it's a better question. What do you do when someone's in your lobby and you don't want them around? Do you midstream say, hey, I need you to leave, kind of thing?
So there are actually times where I've had to do that, where I will like, and I probably shouldn't do it this way, but I will stop what I'm doing. Like for instance, there is as an example, someone I had just met. They're a streamer, and I generally. So I have my list when we were talking about the list of people.
The list, the VIP list. Can you come in or not?
On the stream. I have a list, and although I have a lot of people that come in, I mean, the list isn't super long. There's more people not on the list than on the list. But I generally will give some more credence to people who stream, because I assume, okay, this person streams, they probably know how to behave on stream. Not always the case, actually.
Right. It's usually like when someone streams, it's like the okay, you're good to come in kind of thing. So you kind of like assume they know what is okay, not etiquette, like etiquette wise, right?
So this person was a new streamer, and they did not know. They did not know the etiquette, I guess. And so they would come in and they would do that thing where they would like. I tried to give them a hint. I would like run off. I'd be like, all right, I'm gonna go off here by myself, and they would follow me, and like I would just take up like
the mid as you're talking running away thing, where you're like, hold on 1 second, guys, and then they follow you.
I just see them like following me on my camera, like running at. I'm like, oh my god, this person. And they just kept taking like half of, because I'm very aware like of what I'm displaying on my camera, right? And they're just taking up half or more than half with their avatar, and I'm like, okay, 1 sec, you guys. And I muted myself on stream, and I was like, hey, I just want to let you know, like, I'm happy to meet you, but it's just really.
But this is like too much kind of thing.
It's like really. I had to tell them it's really bad etiquette to like do this, and I was like a little upset. I was like, it's just kind of like a pet peeve of mine, also, and people do specifically what you're doing.
So it's kind of like you go into like customer service mode where it's like, hey, unfortunately you can't be here, kind of thing. We have to like be really like polite.
Exactly.
I definitely feel that, because it's not like a lot of times I like to give people the benefit of doubt and be like, it's not really their fault. Right. It's really not.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
It's not. They just want to hang out, and it's never. It's like friend requests, right? It's like people that want to add you as a friend. It's not like they are out to like get you or anything. It's like they just want to hang out, and it sucks, but you have to be really careful about those things, right? So I definitely feel that. But I don't know. Do you like, what do you do when you have something on your stream? Do you just resort to your little here, you want to dance with me kind of thing? And then they go, no.
Yeah, that's usually what I do. I just like,
it's like a confrontation thing, right? It's like you're a mid-live thing, and how do you do a confrontation live on like a stream, right? So I don't know, it can be pretty dang scary. I definitely
I've never had anyone who's too disrespectful. Like, I've had people who like seemed annoying, and then I'll just be like, well, I'm gonna go dance, and then just go off to a new world or something.
Right.
And then I might message them later if I feel bad for some reason. But usually the people that I allow on understand that I'm streaming, and they're very respectful. I've been so super lucky, I guess. But yeah,
I had
I do usually solo.
I actually wanted to bring up. I was on Twitter today, and I like tweeted out of nowhere, just like how much I was like admiring VR chat and like because like I feel like sometimes when we're like sitting in VR, I was just sitting in a public world. I had Access Overlay opened up, and I was watching YouTube videos. I'm just like chilling in full body, and just watching YouTube. And I'm thinking to myself, man, I have like 9 virtual monitors that I can just put up whenever I want. And I was like, man, do we really take VR for granted? Do you guys ever like just sit down and just be like, man, this is crazy? Like think about what we're doing right now in this room. Like how crazy is
Yeah.
that? Like it's nuts. And like all the widgets are here for like a podcast. You know, it feels exactly like you're just like at a regular podcast show. Like and I guess like I was like thinking about that and the podcast at the same time and how like man, this is like if you were to have someone come to like your business building and come over to do like be a guest on a show. Um, and I think a lot of us take VR for granted. I feel like I don't
Yeah.
see a lot of appreciation for it, and it's always people complaining about like oh man, this is not good. This doesn't run the way it should be. Oh my god, I'm lagging, kind of thing. It's like, man, you're with people from freaking China right now. Like, gotta hanging out with people that you would never have been able to like see in person before, and I feel like I want to like raise awareness, like appreciation in VR, if that's even a thing, because like we live in a time right now that we can like do stuff like this, and if you think about gaming 5 years ago, maybe 10 years ago, how substantially different it is. And I know of people that can just like sit here and like work while they're in VR. They can literally go to work in VR if you work from home. Um, have you ever like, I guess like sat back and just like thought like, man, this is crazy. Like think about like a relationship, right? Uh, VR, it's a complete game changer, and I can't imagine like what life would I guess be like without VR
Oh my
in a
God.
way.
I don't.
Mm.
I was gonna ask you both. Like, take you from like before you started VRC and like you today, and like how are those How are those people, two different people, different? Because like for
That's a good
me, it's
one.
completely different. It's
You
complete
answer
like
it first. You answer it first. How does it?
hundred
What about you?
percent different.
Yeah.
Like everything that I value today, most things that I value today are like because of people I've met and relationships I've formed and communities I've joined. So like being able to share like my deepest darkest secrets with someone I love, or like dancing with the whole community, or surviving quarantine and not like just going to a library and like burying myself in books or something. Like
Right.
it has completely changed how I interact, and like of course making your own avies and making avies for other people and being your own entertainer. Like that's the whole streaming side of things, which I didn't think I would ever go down that path. So
Right.
completely different. Um, as a gamer, as a person, which I don't view VRC as a game anymore.
Hmm.
Maybe when I first logged in,
Yeah, I
but
think people when they start out VR, they're like, "Oh, this is a great game."
yeah.
Like, wait, this is my life.
So like
Eventually,
for you, I
it
don't know.
completely changes
Yeah,
avenues.
like how
Yeah.
would you answer that question? 'Cause I
I
already know
guess
for
like
me, but
I don't know.
maybe.
It's interesting to me because well, you go first because I actually have a
Yeah.
point I want to bring up. So
Yeah.
you go first.
I
I
mean,
have a point I
like
want to bring up about
it's
it.
I have so much to say about that specifically,
Go for it.
honestly.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like, sweets, I wouldn't say I'm a completely different person, but there are parts of me that I was maybe scared or didn't have the people or the support to come out. Like, for instance, music, that's something that I played a little guitar, I
Right.
kinda sang a little bit on my own, but it wasn't until I met a music community in VRC and, like, we hung out every single night, we stayed up super late, like, just singing and playing music. That's when I feel like I truly grew, in that way, and then, like, also in a way where in real life, I mean, I grew up in the Bay Area, but still, even then, like, I didn't feel super comfortable
Right.
expressing my femininity and stuff, and like I, there's just so many people you can meet in VR, and I feel like for whatever reason, you're in a cute avatar, or you're in like your own bed, you're in your own comfortable space. I just feel so much more relaxed and comfy in VR than I
Do you
would
think your confidence is
IRL.
higher, like in general, just
I
from
would
like?
say so, yeah.
Hmm.
You know, and I never thought. I'm pretty much. I think you said this last time I interviewed you, but I feel like I'm kind of living my dream in a way, and I'm living a dream that I didn't even know
Right.
existed. Like if you told me I would be doing this 25 years ago or 20 years ago, I'd be like, sign me up. I'm all for that. I never even
Right.
dreamed that this would be possible.
Mhm.
Meeting people and like getting to spend all night with them and spend time with them, like it's wonderful. And also on like the content creation side,
Mhm.
so you briefly mentioned this, but I'm like, I feel like I'm in complete control, and I like the sky is the limit. Like I feel so excited for the future. I still have so many ideas for creating, and I'm just
Mhm.
super excited. Whereas before, I don't think I told you about this, but I was like a theater person, and I took like voice acting classes. I did stand up. I was like doing improv and stuff.
Are
It
you
just
voice acting right now?
no, I know. This is my
I was gonna say because I want to, man.
and
People right.
I had friends in that community, but I never felt
Never like
remotely as close
as like
to
deep,
the
right? Yeah, I was
people
gonna,
like,
yeah.
and like I mean there's different reasons for that, but it's so easy to just put on your headset and not have to
Oh yeah.
drive like an hour and a half to go see somebody. And then when you're there, you only see them for like a couple hours or something, right? And then you drive back. But then here you just put on, you can hang out with this person as long as you want, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, or 5 hours. And it just makes me feel really connected to people in a way that I really hadn't before. And I would say the biggest thing is that I'm a lot less lonely. I don't know about confidence. I'm still pretty self-conscious about things, but I'm definitely a lot less lonely. And I feel like I have a lot of friends that I genuinely love and genuinely care about, more so than I think I've ever had in my life before.
I feel like that generally is like overall, like that is what you hear from like basically anyone who's been on VRChat. I would say for longer than 4 months. I feel like it doesn't take very long to like start to realize certain things about, because within like my first maybe like week, I started thinking about, holy cow, you can do anything here, huh? Because like you go to like different worlds, and like, oh my gosh, there's all these different worlds, and then someone tells you, yeah, someone made this world, or someone made that avatar. And it's like you can make all these things. But here's where I actually when I think about these things, I like to think about all different angles, right? I don't like thinking in one direction or one opinion, even if it's opinion against my own opinion, because I still, I thoroughly agree with you that this is the best opportunity that could ever come across anybody's life. Like buying a virtual reality headset was the greatest decision of my life. Actually, looking at
Same.
VRChat Knuckles memes was the greatest decision of my
Yeah.
life. But basically, like, I like to think about, okay, well, what other angles are to this? And I would actually argue that there are definitely a lot of unhealthy aspects of virtual reality. One can go down to the most basic of needs, which is a common thing when people start VR, and it's eating properly, sleeping properly, ignoring IRL responsibilities. I have met people who literally lost their job because they spent so much time in VR, where they wouldn't wake up on time because they spent all day in VR and fell asleep. And I have known people that have blown off so much IRL responsibilities because of either somebody they've met online, some sort of friend group that's doing something at night or doing something or hanging out, or they had an opportunity to hang out in VR. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it does dwindle, and we all have to agree that you have to have some sort of responsibilities with your real life. As much as spending every day, every moment in VR would be awesome, there are definitely real life responsibilities, and I would have to say that I have seen a lot of negative things come out of VR, and it's not that it's not talked about, it's just that we don't blame VR for it. We always like to say, oh, this person wasn't really cool or whatever. One of the things could be, which is, more recently has been discussed, and which I actually want to bring up as well, but catfishing. Catfishing in the virtual space has never been easier than it is in VR. It's a different story when you're on Facebook and you post pictures of some girl or whatever, or some guy. But in VR, you get to be that girl or be that guy. Where you are fully displaying yourself, and all the only thing that's missing is the voice. And I could go on and on about catfishing, but that's also a thing that the virtual space makes easier for people to do. And it's not that, again, the positive benefits of VR completely outweigh the negatives, but I think that if we showed a little more light on the negative things about VR, that maybe it can make positive things even better. On a general standpoint, because from personal experience, obviously I've never had that really happen to me, and virtual experience has been phenomenal, and this has been a perfect world. But there are people that have had the negative responses from VR, and there's people that go out there and say, "Yeah, I'm quitting VR chat," and I understand. I can understand that there are definitely things that can stem into an unhealthy habit. I have 14,000 hours in this game, and that's a lot of time that I've spent in the virtual space, and I feel like I've learned so much about the VR space, and I feel like that's why I feel like I have a good opinion on it. That the negatives have to be somewhat acknowledged for us to move forward in the VR space, because if we pretend that everything's always going to be awesome in the VR world and whatnot, then we might lose track of the real life responsibilities that I mentioned before, and what still needs to be important. Because I could definitely tell you, I would say that a lot of I guess sleeping problems for me personally, I want to believe, and I love to say, oh yes, VR helps me sleep better. It really doesn't. It really doesn't. I think it helps me fall asleep faster, but as far as getting a good rest, it doesn't really help that much. And I think that's case by case. I think it's definitely case by case. I'm sure some people sleep infinitely better being in VR than they do out of VR. I understand that. But the people that want to spend every moment will lie to themselves and say, yeah, it does help me sleep better because, VR is so wonderful. But in reality, it's just an addiction to VRChat, right? That's kind of around there. But I don't know. I feel like there's a lot in that subject area where too much of something is always bad, right? Where you have too much of anything. And I wouldn't say VR chat's an exception to that. I think it still can be pretty bad if you spend too much time in VR. Again, this is coming from someone who spends practically every day in VR, all day. I don't know. I think it's case by case though, right? It's got to be very, very case by case.
I think so. It depends on how. I think that's a very hard problem. That it just how much do you value how much value do you get from being in VR? Your relationships, right? Maybe all of your social life might be in VR, and it's is that spending most of your time in that? Is that a bad thing at that point? You have to be very aware of how it's affecting you mentally.
Right. Exactly. I think that's a good point. That's
responsibilities. If you have to take care of a kid or maybe a parent or something IRL and you're not doing that, or you have a job. Sometimes I feel like I'm living a double life.
Even your basic needs, I feel like a lot of times get ignored. A lot of people literally don't. I can tell you how many times people are I need to pee, and but I want to get out of VR. It's funny. It's a joke. It happens all the time. It happens on the stream too. But it that's the principle of the whole picture, right? That's the small basic principle of someone missing their dinner because they're in VR. But you can apply it to anything. As far as mental benefits from VR, though, I feel like that list is so unbelievably long of how much good it can do for your self-discovery, for learning about other people and how they act. Because what you meet in VR is basically raw personality, because the idea of being in something that isn't your IRL stuff, or being able to try something new, basically brings out this confidence in people where they aren't afraid to talk. I feel like a lot of the times when I'm for instance, let's say you put yourself in an avatar that was literally you, right? That was your actual person. You would feel so incredibly out of place, right? But when you have this ability to transform into anything, it can even be a meme avatar. I feel like a lot of people are still more themselves when they're not themselves. When they're not in their personal skin. I think that a lot of raw personality does come out, and it can be really scary, because sometimes people that have explored that much might, deviate so far from their original person that people that have met them before, so IRL people like parents, family, any kind, might actually look at them completely differently, right? And be like, holy cow, you have changed so much. And I'm actually wondering how cool or interesting would it be, let's say before you started VR, if you met yourself before and after. Like how weird would that be to see those two different people? Like I wonder how my dad thinks of like what I'm doing. Do your parents know about like what you're doing
Oh my
in VR
god.
or family at all?
My mom does. My mom probably watches my stream the most out of any family member. My sister's seen it like once or twice. My cousins have seen it once or twice. My dad passed away sadly, but that him specifically is someone I think about. Like, would I be doing this if my dad were still alive? Like,
Right.
how would he feel about me, like in a girl avatar and like
Right. Now
being a bit
one
more
of the first things my
feminine?
dad said to me was, "You're a girl." That was like
Did
the
he say
very
that?
first thing.
Oh,
I showed him a dance
yeah.
clip. The first time I ever like revealed him that I
Yeah.
like, hey, I'm an anime girl online, Dad. Was I showed him a dance clip because I wanted to like show him that I'm doing something that productive, not just because he's one of those guys who's like video games, anything's a video game basically. Freaking your calculator's a video game to
Right.
him. So basically,
Yeah.
like when I showed him that I was dancing and stuff, he's like, "How are you controlling that with your computer, with your controller?" And I was like, "That's my body, Dad." He's like, "You're a girl? You skin yourself?" And I'm like, "Oh my god." No, I definitely feel that.
I was so nervous the first time my mom hopped in my stream. Like,
Did it
and I
change
feel
how you
like
were
I
talking?
regret-
Everything? Were you like, I can't say anything weird? Hello, everybody.
I just had like a panic attack. I was like, I did not know how my mom would react. And I was playing chess at the time, and like, I blew the game. I like couldn't think straight, and I was like, "Oh, hey, mom. Like, I don't know."
Hey, Mom, I'm playing chess. Mom, I'm playing
And the
chess.
rest of the night,
It's
like,
just
I
chess.
just it's like, "Oh, hey," and I don't even remember what happened after that. Like, I just my head got all cloudy over time. Like, and as my mom like started watching more and more, I still don't think she completely gets it. Like what I'm doing. Like she hasn't put on. Well, I showed her like an Oculus Go way back in the day, but that didn't even have hands or legs. I don't know if she understands that. Like, hey, these are my hands, and these are like my actual legs that are hooked
Yeah,
up.
that was actually that seemed to be the hardest concept for my dad to understand. He's like, "How are you moving your body parts?" And I tried to tell him there are these trackers on your body. And he was like, "How do the other body parts know how to move?" And I was like, "I don't know. It's I'm a video game character. That's all I can explain. as I'm a video game character."
Pretty much, which is such a dream.
I mean,
Would you say?
living it.
Are there any other family members, like even my sister and like my cousins, who are our generation? I mean, they're a little bit younger than me, but
Right.
they are. They might not play a bunch of video games, but even them, like they'll watch my VRChat streams and they'll like not really know what's going on. They're like, "So you're the girl," or like, "What's going on?" And like, I guess it's easier if I'm not, because there are other people on stream with me, but they,
Right.
they're kind of confused. So, I answer your question, yes, but like. Here's also a thing I guess that's kind of related to this, which is it's really hard for me to explain how great VR is to someone
Right.
without them actually trying it.
That is a good point. That's a very good point. It's you can't explain. It's something you can't explain. It's
You're right.
impossible.
You
to
can
explain.
try, but
Yeah.
Impossible.
They're like, "Oh,
And
that's
also-
cool.
Impossible.
That's really cool. Yeah, that sounds really neat." That's like the answers you get all the times. That sounds really neat. That sounds awesome. Good for you.
Yeah,
It's never like
yeah.
a true understanding. I feel like until they get to see it and they go, "Oh, this is what you're talking about."
Yeah. And you guys know Kanata, right? Do you know
Yeah.
Kanata?
Yeah.
I was Kanata's actually the first person I ever met IRL from VR, and they're so sweet. We were getting ice cream, and this is actually so sweet. This is random, but I went to the bathroom and like we had gotten ice cream, and then I come back, they like asked like the girl at the stand for like a cup of ice so my ice cream wouldn't melt. It was really sweet.
Aw,
Anyway.
that is very sweet.
We were
It's like one of
talking
those
about this.
small things. It's the small things.
It's
right?
one of those small, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my
No, I
God.
can feel that.
But we were talking about this topic, and they brought up an interesting point, which is like even when like I know people who have VR and they still like aren't super into VR chat, and it's
Right.
because like for a lot of people you don't really do something unless it fulfills a specific need for you. For me,
Yeah.
I was
No, I feel that.
super lonely, and like I didn't know I wanted to be an anime girl, but I did, and I didn't know that I needed more people from different communities in my life. And if people are like, okay, my friends they play Overwatch, then they're probably going to play Overwatch, and they're probably not going to be in VR because that's where their friends are. You know, I don't know how this relates to what we were talking about, but
Yeah, no. Like back to what you were saying, like it does give you like a platform to experiment with your personality, with your
Yeah.
sexuality. Like so
Mhm.
many guys come in and they're like, "Fudge, I'm shaking my hips, yo, let's go!" And they're like, you become like, you get to express that side of you that would not be, you know, super welcome in society. Like, and a
Mm.
lot of people in Malaysia, ADC for example, he comes in, he can
Yeah.
be himself, like, you know, and
Yeah.
um and basically us, same thing, it can be freaking yeah,
I think
catty.
like it's I don't know, when it comes to like IRL people and VR people, um, sometimes like I want to believe that I would talk to like everyone IRL the same way I would talk to them in VR. But then
Yeah.
when I'm like talking to like my family, I realize I don't feel like myself. Does that make sense? I
Mm.
feel like I'm
Completely.
pretending
Yeah.
to my family. I feel like I'm not really being like who I actually am. And I remember, so this is actually an interesting story. So I'm like not like super close to my family. I haven't really been for the past, I don't know, 9 years maybe. Um, but I had just gone to see my dad a few months back, a little bit before Christmas, and I gotta sneeze. Oh my gosh. But basically, um, I was talking to my stream, and I was like, guys, I don't think you guys don't understand how big of a deal this is for me because I haven't like seen my dad in a few years, or not seen my dad in a few years, seen a lot of my family for like 8, 9 years. I had seen my dad before, but we were going. My dad was picking me up from the airport to go see, other family members, and I remember like I was like thinking, what am I gonna tell them? Like, what am I gonna tell them I do for a living? And I was like, how the heck am I gonna do this? And I realized for a moment that I was like, I'm doing this. I'm going to see my family right now that I haven't seen in 9 years. And I was like, holy cow, how am I able to do this? And I realized that it was because of VRChat that I was able to actually like kind of step out and tell people or tell my family kind of like what I was doing. Um, and I want to believe that if it wasn't for VRChat, that I don't think I would have, actually gone out and done that. Um, so I guess the question would be, does VRChat translate into IRL confidence? Do you think that you can take things, personal traits that you've gained from the virtual space and bring it into your IRL life? I guess the easy answer for me would be yes. But at the same time, it's really scary because you kind of forget, kind of lose sight of like, who am I? You get this kind of idea of like like personality dysphoria, where you're like, who am I right now? Am I this person I was before VRChat? Have I changed because of VRChat? Is it because I'm hanging out with anime girls? Like, what is going on with me? So you get kind of I'm serious. You kind of don't
No.
Mhm.
you like you kind of
Dysphoria.
you get very dysphoria. It's very strange and kind of what happens to you. And I wonder if like you talk to your other self and be like, hey dude, this is who I am now. Like what would they say to you? Um, and I don't think that's really thought about very often. Again, I like to think about the other side of the pretty flowers and stuff. Um, and I guess I get kind of confused, and sometimes when I get like, maybe it's like, how many times have you ever heard people say like VR chats cured my depression, kind of thing, right? I feel like a lot of
Yeah.
times people will say that. When I do get into like a state where I'm like not mentally great, and I'm like looking at myself, I think like, is my old self like still here, like still kind of chilling, like kind of like what's happened, like who am I still? I guess a good question would be, what would you do if VR chat was gone tomorrow, kind of thing?
Wow. I don't know.
Because if you
Be
take away the VR
miserable.
chat, it kind of removes any kind of variable of your personality having changed, right? Because then you'd be forced to continue the personality you have now in anything else.
So, I want to go back on what you said, and I'll get to that in a second. But like, I used to live in California,
Mm.
and I don't think I've been happy there. Maybe ever.
Right.
um,
I feel that.
for various reasons, like rent. But like my friends from college and high school, like I would hang out with maybe
Mm.
4 or 5 years ago, and like I always just felt like a disconnect with them in some way. Like they weren't really the people that I wanted to be around, but they happened to be the ones that were there.
Like,
So
were
I,
they
I
just like
felt
really
kind
different from you, kind of thing?
I mean, they played games and they like did whatever, but I didn't feel super comfortable around them,
Right.
like especially with things like sexuality and femininity and stuff.
Mhm.
Or like when I would talk about my dreams of like content creation back then, like it just felt like not that they were rooting against me, but that they just sort of
Oh, oh, I know what you mean. Like they want to see you
they just
fail. They just
kind of, but like they just like were incredulous and they didn't really get it, and I'm just
right.
like, okay. And even like the last couple years I was living with friends, and I was like, it started off great, but I was like, I just feel like these people almost look down on me in a way. Maybe they didn't, but that's just the
Mhm.
feeling that I got. And I moved to a place where I don't know if you know my friend Etiquette and her husband One,
Yeah,
but
I'm aware of them.
Etiquette's one of my best friends, and I moved to a place where the only person who knows me here, or the only people who know me here, are people who know like my VR self. And
Mm.
so it made me feel like finally I could actually be the person who I always felt I was
Ah,
inside
that
IRL.
makes
So I moved
sense.
to a
You
place
brought
where
you brought it to you. You
I
brought the
brought it
IRL
to
to
you.
you.
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
And that's
Yeah,
something I think about a lot. Like I
that's
actually, yes,
interesting.
there are negative parts, but I feel like I want to be I want to be more like my VR self IRL.
Right, right,
I
right.
want that to translate. Like I do things like I'm exercising more, I'm eating well, and
Mhm.
I'm still pretty shy IRL. Like if you meet me, it takes me a little bit to like,
I
I'm so
definitely feel
talkative
that.
in VR, but like I will open up eventually. But yeah, but I forgot what were we talking about? I feel
No,
like
no,
it was
yeah, no,
related to what we
you
were
definitely
talking
you
about,
definitely answer bring the environment like to you.
but right,
I didn't think
right,
about
yeah,
that. I guess like if I were like to move like towards like kind of where Sweet is, it's like the people that are around me aren't the ones that I'm moving to the VR chat environment basically. Um,
yeah,
I guess like the only thing that would kind of keep you going back to like your old self would be like friends that you met before VR chat, because I wonder that if you didn't change environments, right? Um, like would your IRL self still be kind of who they were before, right? Or before all of like VR chat. Um, I think regardless of like how much change happens, it's always really really uncertain because who knows, something could happen in a month and your personality changes yet again.
yeah,
Or I think it's always a dynamic thing. Someone's personality is never going to be static because we're
yeah,
constantly evolving and learning things as we go on our everyday life. Whether we want to believe it or not, we do learn things like every single day. And because we're fed that information, fed those new things, we have to adapt, right? We have to adapt to that new knowledge. And I think that that's why when we get to VR chat and why all of us have changed so much is because we're receiving so much new knowledge and so many new things. I will tell you one thing. When I started VR chat, I did not think I'd be playing as an anime girl. I was like, I didn't even know anime girls existed in VR chat. I was like, holy cow, it's just a bunch of video game characters. And I was like, oh man, I'm gonna be Master Chief or something like that. Could you imagine me as Master Chief now?
I knew from the start. I
I
knew.
knew from the start too. I was
Well, when did you guys start playing? I started in December 2017. That's when I started. But I never
so
saw anime girl stuff. I didn't see a single anime
yeah,
girl
so I
thing.
started social VR in general a little before that, maybe like summer of 2018.
What do you mean? What do you mean by
And
social VR?
so
What?
alt space VR was for some
Alt
reason I was in
space.
alt space
Oh
VR
Oh.
and not
no.
in VR chat. And it was because it just ran better. My computer was not great at the time. My Wi-Fi was awful at the time. And it wasn't until I got like wired Ethernet that I could actually play
Right.
VR chat properly. But I remember being in alt space and I was just talking because I loved alt space, even though I wasn't an anime girl. I loved social VR. I loved the fact that you could just be whoever you wanted to be
Right.
someone who you're comfortable with, just meet a bunch of people from all around the world. And I overheard this guy be like, "Yeah, you guys ever check out VR chat? Like, you know, I was talking to like this cute girl, and then they opened their mouth and they had a deep voice, and they were like laughing, ha ha ha." And I was like,
And he
"Oh,
kind
like
of was
they have."
like a deep voice person. Like I
And
swear.
he was like kind of dismissing it, and I was like, "Oh," I was like intrigued. I was like, "Oh, wait, what? Like, oh, that sounds amazing. I want to do that." So I knew from the beginning, like Sweet said, like I want to be an anime girl. And
Mhm.
then so yeah, I guess end of 2018 around Thanksgiving, I started playing and yes, I fell in love with it.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it takes like 10 minutes being in VR to realize like, oh my god, it's freaking amazing kind of thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's like I think
Totally.
the most interesting was depth perception. When I saw that there was depth perception when I put my headset on for the first time, I was like, what? I can like jump off this mountain. Like I think that's the
That stuff
first thing I
feels so
realized.
weird.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
that was probably
Yeah.
like the strangest thing because I think a lot of people like don't have VR and don't realize that that's the thing. Because I think when before I actually got VR, I was like, oh man, do I really want to invest money into it? Because like I can just play in desktop mode. It's not that big of a deal. But then when I put it on, it was like a whole different world. I was like, oh my god, this is really weird. This is really strange. What was the first VR that you've had? Sweet, like the very first like system, I guess.
I had the Vive, and I had
The
like a
original
TP
Vive?
Link. Yeah, with the crappy
Oh,
wireless.
TP Link wireless. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, TP
But
Link.
I loved VR, and I didn't realize VR chat was a thing. But I've
Mm,
always been interested in controlling an avatar, like ever since there was Connect and Dance Central and stuff.
Mhm.
Um, and you could be like a Miku avatar with the Connect and stuff. And I was like, oh, that's so cool.
mm,
Um, and then I sold everything. And then one day I saw like No Logic David dancing, and then also Ron
mm.
dancing, and I was like, "What the hell is this?
What are
What
they? How
is
are they
this?
doing this? Yeah.
How are they doing this? What is this? What are these
Yeah.
tracking things?" And so got like a Quest and tried that out. And like not many people know, but at the time I was married and stuff. And
What?
Oh yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You wanna
Not
share
many,
that?
I, yeah. So
Wow.
college. Well, so I
Hmm.
know this. I've known my ex for like 10 years until we broke
Mm.
up like during the pandemic. And
Mm.
and that goes back to like explaining to someone like what VR is and what it's like. Like she thought like everyone in here is like was just like fake, like not real people,
Right.
not real feelings, just like gamers who are like casually, hooking up with each other.
Yeah, I think that definitely falls in the category of like understanding VR as other people because it
Yeah.
was VR chat without the other people, right? It's just you're just kind of walking around empty worlds. So I think that's
Yeah.
a good point. That's a very good point. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, and so I mean, the pandemic helped. I mean, also was a reason, but definitely VRChat was one of the reasons my relationship ended, and and I had to make a choice to like continue my marriage or like
Wow, that's so
stream
interesting.
and dance, and like I was doing this, and I was like I made divorce and everything, and I'm like on stream like breaking down, like crying like during a song,
Aw.
and like being mute, but still like getting into the
Hmm.
song, and people are like, "Oh, that's so amazing! The emotion." I'm like, "Yes, it is."
Aw.
Thank you very
But yeah,
much.
yeah. Not many, so still not many people know that, but I mentioned it a couple times. But like going forward, like, and we were talking. I was talking to Kara about this. Like I can't start a new relationship unless, or maybe I could, but you'd have to know that part of me. Like you'd have to
Right, like that
know
this
Yeah.
that it's
because it's
Wow,
your
real.
we
that's
talk.
so
It's your
true.
personality. It's your personality.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
whole understanding of the VR space. That's another good question. Is would you be able to date someone that isn't in VR or doesn't know about VR? I want to
Wow.
believe I couldn't. I want to believe that I couldn't, but
No
um,
problem.
it's. I just don't think I could. I don't think there's just. I spend
I
too
don't
much
know if
time.
I
It's too
could
big of a part of my
either.
Right.
life. It's my career, right?
Yeah.
It's literally for full time streaming. It's your job.
Yeah.
So how would you be able to tell someone that this person that I know online, when I'm doing this with my hand in real life, I'm comforting them because they're going through something, right? It's like how are you supposed to explain it to someone? And I think the whole like connections of people that you interact with, it's weird. I think Walter talks about it a lot about how accelerated friendships develop in VR because of how much social interaction we have utilizing it. I think that even if I would have that much social interaction in real life as I did in VR, I don't think I would get that close. I don't know why in
No.
VR that I end up getting that close. Like even if you spend 5 hours talking to someone IRL versus 5 hours talking to someone in VR, I don't know why. Maybe it's a combination of the environment that you are talking to the person in. Because how many times have you guys had a super deep talk in a really quiet, rainy map where the vibe is just like, I hate my life kind of thing, right? It just immerses
Yeah.
your whole brain and your personality. And I think that a lot of that combined together creates this connection of being able to accelerate with somebody and really get to understand them. I think a lot of the friendships that you make in VR are intense. And by intense, I mean like you, value them. I feel like a lot.
Yeah.
I feel like the value of them is very high versus the value of maybe an IRL friend that you used to know, kind of thing. And maybe it's different for other people, but for me, I look at the connections that I've made IRL, and I don't think they weigh nearly as much as the ones in VR in the virtual space that I have. Whether it be because of the conversations or because of how I've gotten to know them, or their lack of in real life where I wasn't showing my full personality or something. What do you think about if you had an IRL friend come to VR? How would that make you feel? What do you think?
So do I look okay, by the way? I
You're
sat
fine.
down
Yeah,
and
I saw you
okay.
having some technical difficulties.
Um, so actually, my best friend from when I was 12 years old, we met online.
Mhm.
My best friend since I was 12 or 13. And I'm in my 30s now. So like I've known them for so long.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I've been trying to get them into VR for so long because out of all the friends I knew, I felt like they would love it the most, and they're probably the person closest to me IRL, and probably one of the few people still from back then that
Mm.
I love still, that I keep in touch with. And the last like 3 years, I've been just hounding them over and over, like, "Hey, you gotta get VR. You gotta get
To try
VR.
VR, yeah.
You gotta try this." Because they live in Canada, so like I couldn't just invite them over, like and show them. So for their birthday one year, I sent them an Oculus Go because I had upgraded to like I just got an Index and I just didn't need it anymore. So I gave
Mhm.
it to them, and that was their intro to VR. And like, "Oh, this is cool. This is cool." And it wasn't really until I started streaming regularly and I was making video content that they could see. They were like, "Oh, this is kind of interesting, like just seeing me interact with people."
Mhm.
And eventually they got a Quest 2 and they were like, "Okay, this is pretty pog. I like this. This is really fun." They loved Beat Saber, but they most of all they loved VRChat. And now they're doing and their background is art and stuff. They're an amazing painter and sculptor and stuff, and like
So yeah, I mean that's probably
a
what
real
really drew them
performer.
when they first got to do
Yeah.
like full 3D drawing or 4D, I
Yeah,
guess
and
you call it.
now they're doing their freaking PhD in like social VR and like VR interactions and
Oh
like
wow.
and I mean it took
Wow.
there is like a money barrier which really that's probably the hardest thing about getting into people into VR is
Oh,
just
that is
how
so true.
expensive
That
it
is
is.
absolutely true.
And
The
and
gate on cost
they're like
is
a starving artist, and
right.
it
So
sucks.
definitely bad formula.
Yeah, but now that she has like an Index and a full 3080 computer and stuff, and like they actually paid for it with an art grant that they got for like
Hmm.
social VR, which is so cool. But anyway, to answer your question, yeah, like they love it. They fucking love it, and I feel like my friends who I guess are like me, they probably will love it. But you just need to spend time in it first, though. You really need to experience it firsthand.
Right.
Um, some of my other friends are like, I don't know, this is kind of gay. Like, I don't know about this. And those are the
Yeah.
people that I've tried to like
Yeah.
leave behind in my life.
Any friend from
Like,
high school, I feel like for me, would not be.
right?
They'd be like, "Dude, what do you do in your life?" And I'd be like,
Yeah,
"I don't know, man." I feel like that's how conversation would go.
yeah, yeah.
They get assumptions. People get assumptions, And it's funny. I've never had someone assume that ERP was even a thing in the virtual space. Even people that know that are my friends, they never thought about oh, can you avatars get naked and stuff, and can you do stuff with other people? I've never had anyone actually bring that up, but nowadays
Really?
it is the mainstream culture of VRChat. ERP stuff related to it is literally the mainstream culture of VRChat. But I don't know. I think last week maybe it was a really controversial topic on Twitter was talking about VR chats and its basically curtain over NSFW stuff, how they don't really talk about it very often. All these articles online are like trying to say, don't you know about naked girls in a virtual game? Look at this, and they're posting articles. They're trying to oust VRChat and say that it's irresponsible and all these things. Where do you think the responsibility lies when it comes to exposing younger kids to a game that says it's okay for 13-year-olds to play, but the content in the game is 18 plus? Where do you, I guess, stand in that department, like in general, for both of you? Like, what do you guys think?
There's multiple parties that are responsible, right?
Right.
I want, my first inclination was to say the parents are VRChat, but looking back on my life, my parents had no control over what I looked at online.
Do you think it's impractical for parents to say?
It's impractical to really
to not know what their kids are doing? Do you think it's like a
really
baseline statement where they say you should know what your kids are doing 24/7 kind of thing? Do you think it's like a?
Because I mean that's like
it's not practical for.
It's not practical, and you don't want to like obsess over your kid's private life that much unless they're like doing something truly horrible. Right. I mean, it's one of the it's one of the hardest things to do, to draw that line, right? Because like I don't want to be like snooping through every little thing that my kid is doing, but at the same time, I would want to protect them from like predators and stuff. So it's really, it is really difficult to manage that. But I mean, like did your parents like snoop on you? Because my parents had no idea who I was talking to online.
I think like the honestly, the only thing my dad ever like, I guess like was aware of me doing. Oh, this is an interesting story. Actually, I gotta bring this up. I met up with somebody who was 17 when I was 13, I think, without my dad having any idea that I met up with them. His name was Daniel. It wasn't like a weird thing. We weren't doing anything weird or anything at the time. Like it was nothing in that department of like, sexual. We were just friends. But I, for some reason, felt like I needed to hide that idea from my dad. Basically what happened is he was in a place called Ocean City. And it's back in my home state. And we were going to Ocean City for a weekend. And I was like, dude, I'm going down to Ocean City. And he was just a person I met on Call of Duty. I literally met him on Call of Duty. And we hung out, and my dad had no idea. I told him that I was going to meet someone from something called Mission Trip, which is a youth group thing. And we had this like, basically I told him it was like kind of like almost like a pen pal that I'd already met in real life before. It's basically what I told my dad, and he believed me. I could have been kidnapped that day, and who knows, right? It's a really actually interesting story. I was really young, too young to understand. Not a lot of people know about that story, but I hung out with him for a whole weekend. Like nothing was wrong. We got root beers. We chilled. Yeah. Like I remember we went to Stewart's and got hot dogs and whatnot, and we were just chilling, talking about video games and all sorts of worlds like that. But with that being said, parents think about generations, right? And this is where I like to kind of argue with people when it comes to how realistic is it for a parent to know what their kids are doing 24/7. It is impractical purely because of the generational gap between parents and kids. Parents are usually like 30 years apart from their kids, I would say, on average, maybe a little bit younger than that. That is 30 years of advances in technology. And what I mean by advances in technology, I mean look at the past 10 years. Right? Look at the past 10 years where online gaming was its infant stages. It hasn't been around long enough for parents to realistically to understand the full magnitude of it. So take another 20 years from now. Let's fast forward 20 years. Even actually now, you could argue right now, parents with kids that are playing video games online are aware because they were gamers too. Or they played Call of Duty, right? I feel like I'm in the age where I could be moving towards having a kid. Do I want a kid right now? No. But it's practical for me to have started a family. And fast forward 10 years, if my kid was online, I feel like I have the knowledge well enough to know what's going on. But take somebody who's 50-something years old now and never saw an online video game in their life. Is it practical? What's it called? Probable cause? Is it probable cause that they would know how online applications work and the depth of it. It's really not. You could
No.
argue they have to educate themselves, they need to learn about it. It is really not practical for them to understand it fully to the extent where a kid wouldn't know as much as the parent.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
For sure.
It's very difficult for a parent to fully comprehend, and you can argue that they have to put in the effort to learn it, but it's just not practical for the kid to know less than the parent. And where do I guess like start with that? A good example would be bring it down to a more root level, where my dad used to hide my power cable to my Xbox all the time, right? Because if I like got in trouble or he grounded me, but the thing is, I would always, listen to where he walked in the house to go hide it. I would listen in the house, and it's because kids aren't dumb. They know what they're doing online. They know they know how to hide things from parents. So and they know how to get things back from parents. They know how to do these things. Just because of the generational difference. Again, it's just a generation thing, and I think that we truthfully can't know how things would turn out and who to blame, parent or company or access to something. Until another 10 years or so. I think Sweet would probably disagree though, and I think we had the conversation a while ago how you said that parents should be responsible, right? Like kind of what their kids are up to.
Yeah, no, I think raising a child is probably the hardest thing like you will ever do, because like those formative years from like when you're born to like 10 or 12, there are so many things influence, like getting love from parents and like what you're experiencing. Are you playing enough? Like I do believe kids should play and role play and all that stuff. You can protect your kids from everything, especially with technology. Like, but
an effort has to be made.
They're gonna do. Yeah, because people are still gonna like ERP and Roblox or something. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Like it's gonna happen.
It's happening.
Like,
it's happening. There's no denying that. There's no denying. It is absolutely happening. There are underage kids having sex in Roblox. 100%.
Right now.
As we're having this conversation.
Yeah.
What do you do? Like you love them and you try to teach them good morals, depending on what you believe, and then you just let them go out into the world, because you don't want to like shelter them from that stuff. That's for sure.
So do you think it should be looked at as like a learning experience for both the kid, the parent, the kid, the parent, and the company, kind of all learn?
Yeah, I mean, it depends. VRChat, like nonprofit, or I don't know. I don't know exactly what they were trying to do, but yeah, it should be a learning experience. Of course, like sex sells and all that stuff, but definitely for the kid and the parent, for sure. The company, they might not care about your kid, but
I feel like sorry to interrupt you. I think that like accountability is always going to be what people are after. And what's it called? Retribution is something that everyone's going to be after. Someone has to be at fault when it comes to some sort of incident. So a good contextual place to put this in is who would you run to, or who would you point the finger at? Let's say if a situation happened where a child was killed or raped or assaulted through VRChat as an application, because they met someone online and it evolved into that, where they may have gave out their address or something. Who is at fault here? It's not really a black and white question, right? But I think that it has to be looked at from all different angles to kind of understand the argument when it came to last week's articles. But where would you, I guess, like point the finger towards? And why?
You might say like VRChat or whatever is enabling, but with that, we've been having this problem since like AOL.
Right, since Facebook. That's why I say this is not. I think I made a tweet a few days ago. I said, what was it? What was my stupid tweet? I can't remember what it was. I said something like, online anonymity has been around forever. It is not new thing. It has been here forever. So why are we now saying VRChat's in trouble for doing this? Why are we now saying this? What's changed? Nothing. The internet has been around for years. And online anonymity has been a thing since forever. So what's the difference? Is it because we're moving characters? Is that what's different? So it's a new thing. It's completely new. It's like saying that if someone were to punch someone in the face in virtual reality, is that assault? Right? How far are we going to boil this down to? What are we going to say? Is it, there has to be eventually at some point in the universe, at some point, virtual reality laws will have to come into play,
Oh my
right?
God,
Virtual reality sexual assault laws will come into play at some point. Is online being a virtual avatar here's a good one. If you had an online prostitution ring of virtual avatars, what is it illegal? They aren't engaging in sexual activity physically, but some people would argue it is physical, right? So where's the ground basis to say what's right and wrong?
So I think one problem in our culture is that we really try to make everything black and white.
Right. No, I agree.
So much
I agree.
It's because so many different things.
It's hard to factor in human personality into a law or into a rule.
Right.
Right. It's hard to have a rule where we can't make exceptions to rules and be like, okay, well, their personality was this, right? I mean, that's obviously why like freaking courts exist and things like that. It's a case by case thing.
And so for that example, for prostitution, which is kind of interesting, you'd have to think, okay,
I mean, think about prostitution online.
It'd probably be illegal if people were being hurt or they were being coerced into it or forced to do it against their will.
Right.
If they were minors, if they were soliciting to minors. I mean, that's all. If they're being abused in some way. So that's very nuanced, and maybe there will come a point.
So bringing it into a black and white law, basically, you're bringing a more a broad situation and putting it into a more that's not okay or that's not right. That's obviously not right kind of thing. I feel like if you throw an online anonymity into it, it's like you can be anyone and show someone you're anyone. Have you ever been on those Discord servers where they make you take pictures of your driver's license to partake in certain things?
Oh yeah,
that you do.
Automatically, people leave.
That is there. See those things like
never do that.
Yeah, right. So, and I think that when they do that, it's like I'm covering my ass because everyone here has taken a picture of their driver's license. But even in like a stream community, right? I think this is an interesting topic. If you are a stream community that has, an 18 plus requirement to be there, right? Yeah. There's no universe where a 13-year-old can't type 1-8 enter, right? So how do we go about doing this? And I think that as we progress to the next few years and as the virtual world becomes more mainstream, because I don't think we're mainstream yet. We are definitely getting there. We are definitely getting mainstream. It's happening right now as we hang out here. VR is evolving, not just hardware, but culture-wise. But as we move closer towards this mainstream world, the more our flaws will become exposed. In my opinion, the more our flaws will become exposed, and the more we are literally going to get constricted as we evolve. And it kind of concerns me because I think that we might see a drastic change in what we have grown to really love about VR, which is this personality discovery and this freedom of being anything we want. Is what if somebody comes in and something bad happens and says, all right, VR worlds have gotten out of hand. Where is a rule going to develop? And if these rules eventually do develop, who is making them? Right? Remember how we said before about how somebody who hasn't seen VR before isn't going to know what it's about. What if that person who's making the laws has never seen what this world's about? It's concerning, and I think that that's the real underlying importance of what I saw on Twitter last week about people arguing over VRChat being accountable for things. I think that it's actually kind of scary to think about of what the future of the virtual world kind of holds for us. I don't know. As a whole, I think what can we do to influence, that not happening or influence like good things being
Well,
introduced into VR.
definitely like what you're doing, right? The No Friends Friends Club thing, like making that more public.
Yeah.
Things like that where like you show that you can help a lot of people with this platform.
Yeah,
The
people like evidence,
podcast,
right?
like
Like
merchandise getting on.
physical
It's
evidence.
like,
So yeah, some sort of
whoa,
like
these
kind
people
of
are across the world and they're associating with each other. This person's in like a landlocked country or something, and
right.
they're dancing or expressing themselves creatively, and it's like those kinds of things. Hopefully, will I mean, I say hopefully, but maybe they'll be a fight alongside the not so pleasant things, you know.
Yeah,
So
that's
like,
such a great point.
yeah, we gotta
I was
gotta
thinking,
push those positive things.
like, who do we need to hold accountable? Or in reality, the people that need to be held accountable are the people actually doing shitty things.
Very true. Very true.
Like it's
But
not. And I feel like, okay, I mean, I would love for VRChat to be held accountable, but realistically, I mean, they haven't really done anything wrong.
Mhm.
Sure, I do think like this platform
It's like
probably shouldn't
Facebook.
be
I bet you how
13.
many
Yeah,
lawsuits
it's like
get
Facebook.
filed at
It's more
Facebook
like
because their kid did something online that got
it's a
them hurt, right?
medium.
Like,
It's not really
yeah,
their
no,
fault. It's like a tool. But
right.
I guess I feel like
I think the
he
real
was
thing is
getting at.
it's VRChat says you have to be 13 to play. That's the real problem. It's like they
Yeah.
don't say that there's 18 plus things going on here, or they don't. I guess they put it in their terms of service of playing the game. Being 13, and I think VRChat, they know what goes on in VRChat, right? They know. So I guess the real concern is that VRChat says, "Hey, we have stuff on here," but this is the internet as a whole, right? It's the internet as a whole. It should be, has 18 plus stuff on it. There's no difference from going on Pornhub.com, right?
Yeah. I think we as a, I mean, it's really hard to do this at like a huge community level, but I think we as a community need to be a little bit more responsible too. Like if you see something or someone who's really shady, like doing something really shady, like, and it's really hard to do this, I mean, I don't really want to name names, but I'm sure you've seen like always there's somebody like the truth about Kuro or the truth about this
Right.
person,
Right.
and like
The
it takes
read
so
more
long.
buttons. Where there's a read more button, it's always here we go again, and then I
And
gotta
think,
catch up on my stories here, kind of thing.
and I wish that stuff would come out sooner, but I think, we're trying as a community to police ourselves, right? And
Right.
eventually, if someone is super shitty, it does come to light.
Yeah.
Hopefully, not all the time. It's just like real life. Sometimes you don't know until like Bill Cosby or someone. Sometimes you just don't know until until it's too late. But I think it's important as a community to set good examples, to be kind, and to show, hey, this is a good place. Yeah, there are shitty people, but I don't know. We're
That's like every community. Yeah, there's always gonna be shitty people and great people for sure. But yeah, I've almost like this. I say this community, like the dance community, the streamer community, has been so positive that it's almost like it is kind of alarming when you see some twit longer that's like da 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 this and this, and you're like, oh fudge.
It's kind of like a who is it this time kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Well, I think it's so sad. I like.
Yeah, it's just
I don't know why,
unfortunate.
dude.
It's really
Do you read,
unfortunate.
I read every single comment in those threads.
You
Every
do?
little. Yeah, I don't probably to my own detriment of my health, but I just.
I think part
I
of
don't
it
know.
is awareness, right? Awareness. When something shitty
yeah.
happens, it's like if you bring light to it, not only is it like kind of helping the people that have known that person, like it's not a witch hunt thing. It's more of a hey, this shitty thing happened. You guys need to know about it, kind of thing, right? So that way, either you're keeping yourself safe, or people that you know safe, or not to do it yourself. I'm a big believer in acknowledging mistakes, right? And I think anyone who's done a shitty thing before, if they acknowledge that they've done it, can move past it. But when you see someone else do something shitty, it's easy to say, oh yeah, I'm never gonna do that. Or that would never be me. But it's different when you actually experience it, right? Or you actually do like the shitty thing. So there's definitely not. It's not always a really awful thing when something like twit longers come out.
No.
And it's not just VRChat, right? It's not just VRChat. And I think like when, I guess like I find out something's going on with friends that like drama related or whatever, I always give them the benefit of the doubt, and I
Yeah.
also don't like to get into other people's business kind of thing, and I think like as long as people like admit mistakes and kind of move past them, like whatever kind of thing, like whatever doesn't is what it is. It's all good. Obviously the magnitude of whatever's happens is like really important.
Right.
Have you ever had, I guess, like a situation where you had to side with two friends before? Because I think that's kind of been a situation where
Yeah.
like that can be really awful. And friend groups, so friend groups in general, I think nobody's a stranger to a friend group that's broken up before, right? Not like
Right.
audibly broken up, but a situation happened where devolving happened in the friend group. I had this one friend group before streaming, which was really tight. My best friend, hang out with them all the time. And two people that were in the friend group were dating at the time. But basically, they broke up a little bit down the line, and we had been friends for years. But basically, after they broke up, the friend group just crumbled. And I think that it's scary because like it kind of makes you realize what keeps a friend group intact, I guess. And your relations with the friends in the group, I guess like when they split apart, it's like it totally changes everything when people split. But like for you, like have you I don't know, have you been in that position of like just complete having to side with somebody?
Yeah, on multiple occasions, sadly. It's one example I can think of pretty clearly. My friend, she, I guess, had gotten ostracized and like kind of kicked out of a community or something. And I
Right.
didn't know her when this was going on, and I became pretty close with her. And she ran into another friend of mine who was part of that community, and she kind of like broke down and freaked out and left and like was DMing me like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, this person was really shitty to me, and like
Yeah.
I don't know if we can be friends if you're still friends with this person. And like this is actually probably one of the more, I guess, one of the situations where I felt super uncomfortable because this other person that she was talking about had always been so kind to me, like, and she literally asked me to block them and kick them out of my community. This
Like
is right when I,
you need to do
like, an
something to them because
ultimatum.
they hurt me kind of thing, right?
Yeah, and I was just like, and like I was like, I can't, I need to like at least talk to them and be like, hey, what's going on? And she like didn't even want me to talk to them, and I was like, I couldn't do it. Like I had to be like, hey, I'm not sure what happened, but like I had to hear him out.
Right.
And she got really mad that I even did that. And then I eventually, like, me and her are not friends anymore because I don't think it's fair to do that to someone to
Right. To
give
just
make
like no story whatsoever.
yeah, no
Hey, you have to
story
do this because
whatsoever.
because they hurt me and I don't want you to find out the other
Yeah.
half of the story kind of thing. So you're like
Yeah.
it's like get both sides of the story kind of thing to you and then kind of decide, I guess
For
from
me,
there.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, unless there's like, and I say unless, but even then I want to hear the other person's side.
Yeah, I
Like
understand.
there are like, 25, 30, 50 people who are like, okay, this person is shitty. Let me give you my account.
Right. Right.
There's someone recently who this happened to, and they have not given their account. And I think
Right.
everyone's kind of curious about, what they have to say. And I think
Oh
they just
yeah.
sort of like fucked off and are
Uh,
avoiding responsibility.
Nobody, if you don't, a guilty person doesn't run away. Or sorry, a non-guilty person doesn't run away.
Right.
That's a
Yeah.
good way of looking at it.
And a non-guilty person would always want to prove their innocence. They're not
Right.
going to stay
Right.
silent in something
Exactly.
like that.
Um, yeah,
Um,
I definitely heard about that, and I think that was like one of those things where I was thinking about like lessons of like learning what not to do.
yeah.
Yeah. What about
And
you? What about you, Sweet? Have you like had the like kind of had a group of I guess of people that have parted ways because of
Uh,
some sort of
I think,
disagreement or
yeah,
interaction with people?
yeah. I mean, I I don't know if I should say names, but like two big streamers.
No, if you don't have to say names, you don't have to.
Yeah, like imagine two big streamers who are dating, and then their community split apart, and then
Right.
you have to choose between hanging out with one, and that's why I try not to burn bridges, because when you do that, you split apart communities. It's like it's almost like as if
See, I'm a
like,
big bridge
left
burner.
your-
I'm a huge bridge
I
burner.
know,
I'm a
I
huge
know.
bridge burner.
Yeah, it's like being at a job. Like even your job is like a relationship between you and the company. It's like you don't want to leave and be like, yeah, we're gonna part ways because of so and so. But if you want to come back, like you can, and then you have all that networking and but you burn the
Benefits
bridge,
for
like,
you of maintaining that relation kind of thing.
if you can. Like I understand if there's some rule that you got violated, that you really
Right.
told, and it's like, oh, you cheated on me or something like that. Right. Well, for a lot of people, that's a really really big thing.
Do you? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Because
I was like, do you ever try to? Because I do this right now. I don't know if it's good or bad, but there are times when situations are not so severe where it's easier to pick one side or the other. Like you were mentioning, and I know two streamers who recently, or a little while back, they were so close, and now they're, they completely split apart. But I'm still kind of friends with both of them, and like, I don't bring it up at all. I think that would be bad. But like, I have this fear in my heart. Like, what if they know that I'm like
if your friend's the other party kind of thing?
And I just hide it. I just don't bring it up.
I guess a good way to answer that would be, imagine if you were in their shoes, how would you feel? How would it make you feel, kind of thing?
I wouldn't. Sometimes I am bothered, but sometimes I'm not. I mean, it's like there was somebody I was dating for a little bit, and she like pretty much like cheated on me and cheated on like other people and stuff.
That kind of screwed you.
And I had a friend who was like telling me, you got to break up with them. Like they're kind of lying to you. They're they're being shitty to you. And I was like, okay, I was protesting, but I was like, you're right. And then like I see this person using this other person's emotes in my chat, and I was like, what are you? Like, I was so upset. I was like, I didn't say anything.
I definitely.
But I was like, what do you do? How can you give me that advice and then like go like use this person's emotes? It's kind of
right.
Yeah.
No, I totally get that. I think like it's a unique thing because streaming is the only thing you'll actually come across those kind of things where let's say like there's somebody. So for me, I'm like a mama bear. If somebody hurts like one of my friends or like one of the people that I care about like deeply, like I want anything to do with that person. Like I want that person to freaking burn in hell. So I'm very like, if I find out that you hurt one of my friends in a way, then it's doomsday for you. However, if it's something where it was like a mutual kind of like, hey, we broke up, but I also hate that person kind of thing, but there's no valid reason for me to hate them.
Right.
Then I don't see kind of where it lies, or where my interaction should be severed kind of thing for those reasonings. But if there was a reason where it caused damage or it was a like if I would have been in that person's shoes and I'd be like, yeah, that's super shitty, or like kind of thing, then then the connection is a little bit separate for me. So I guess like when it comes to the magnitude of how that connection with them split off, would I be bothered or not, kind of thing, like if I was bothered or not. Emotes, it's funny, like I was saying, it's a streamer thing. Emotes definitely trigger you. I'm not gonna lie, they definitely trigger. If I had an ex and they were used to emotes, and I was like, what is wrong with you, man? Like, but especially with someone that knew about the situation, right? Like that's gotta be that's gotta be absolutely damning for them to know.
Sometimes they're so cute though, you gotta like,
true.
like, the cute
I mean, but I'm a massive bridge burner. I don't know. I think keeping people who have caused damage in your lives out of your life guarantees you the safety net of it not reoccurring, right? It just guarantees that you will not run in that situation with that person ever again. And for me, I can't take the risk of something like that happening again, X situation, whatever the situation may be. I can't take the risk. I don't have the mental capacity to be fooled twice, if that makes sense. I can't be fooled twice because it makes me feel like an idiot. and I think when you burn that bridge with X person, it creates a safety net for you to never have that happen again. And then the question at that point be, is it worth it, right? Is it worth severing the connection with that person for your personal guarantee of safety? I don't know. Sweet disagrees with me on that. We've had that
So,
discussion before about
especially for streamers, because like you have people in the same
Yeah.
community that
networking, right?
you're
Yeah,
affecting
networking
too.
is a
Like I
huge
got
thing.
affected.
Right.
It's
Mhm.
like, oh man, now I gotta side with somebody. What the hell? Like,
Right.
like,
Yeah.
come on. And people are like share mods. People share. It's tough when
Right.
you're semi quote famous or whatever on Twitch, or you have a communities on Twitch. It's
Mhm.
like, oh man. So
Mm.
you definitely got to keep that in mind before you do something like
Yeah.
for revenge, especially, or
Right.
for
Oh yeah, no, I'm not. I don't think I'm vengeful. I'm not vengeful. I wouldn't say that I'm a vengeful person. What do you
Yeah.
guys? What's your stance on revenge in general?
I fantasize about it, but I don't
Yeah.
really do it a lot, you know.
Right. So it's an
I
idea.
think
It's an
about it.
idea, and its real
Yeah,
implementation would
yeah.
be actually a horrible idea, kind of thing, right?
Yeah, because it
Yeah,
only
there are people that
really
disagree, though. There are definitely people that think retribution and vengeance is essential
also
to recovery.
depends on
Right.
what happened. If someone truly deserves like punishment for what they did,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
But I don't know. Whenever I'm obsessed about revenge and anger, I'm the one that's ultimately suffering. You know, like obsessing over this person
Mhm.
who probably
Mm-hmm.
forgot about me already. Who was like getting into-
10 years later,
yeah.
that person did
10
that
years
one
later.
thing to
I mean,
me.
I still think about sometimes like a bully
yeah,
in
no,
high
I
school.
definitely-
Like,
I
God,
don't
fuck
blame
that
you.
person.
I don't blame
like,
you.
God, if only I had.
Exactly.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
don't blame you. What about
But I
okay?
don't
So what if someone? Sorry to interrupt you. If somebody
no.
came to, or let's say a friend of yours, I guess, was doing something wrong,
Yeah.
and you never knew about it. Just X example of something wrong. Would you want to know that they're doing something wrong, or they're doing something
Yeah.
malicious, right?
Of
So I
course
guess
I would,
I
yeah.
think that's why a lot of people like to witch hunt people and see kind of like, it's like, oh well, don't how many times do you see a comment where someone's like, how come we didn't keep this between you and them, right? Or you should have kept this not public. I think the reason why people point, I can never side with someone saying like that you should have kept this thing like quiet, right? I don't know. I think that
I feel that way too.
if someone does something shitty, I think people deserve the right to know, right? Especially if they're a content creator and influencer. I think it's super important. And I think it says a lot about somebody when they how they react to it, I guess, like a person that isn't at fault. But you definitely have those people that believe it should be between the two people. And I understand that to an extent, but it's a different story when you're a content creator, I guess, in my opinion, of why it has to go public. And I'm not somebody that likes drama, but I think that if I was a viewer, I would want to know if the person I'm watching is disingenuous, right? I would want to know. I would want to know if the person I'm watching has done something, or not really done something, but if they are doing something that isn't what aligns with what they've said, I guess. What do you think? It's like, would you want someone's skeletons basically be pulled out of the closet had they have done something wrong during their time as a content creator, I guess?
Oh, it's like cancel culture-ish. It's like, I don't know, it's tough because like say someone's like a dancer or they're releasing music and then like R. Kelly or something and it's like, oh yo, 15 years ago they did this. It's like, oh
Maybe
no.
I wouldn't say maybe like
Tarnished, right?
years ago where it's unrelated to like what their current thing is, but
Oh,
let's say
maybe
like
currently doing
currently,
something?
let's say for
Yeah.
example, I don't know.
Oh.
Let's say Oh Girls is actually extorting people of their bank accounts and has some sort of
Wish I knew how to do
scheme
that.
going on, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
What
that's-
I feel like it's a would you want to know thing, and then would you, I guess, I'm thinking of like a better example.
I want to know. Like, would they want them to be exposed? Like,
Yeah, I want to say, I don't like the word exposed. I don't like the word exposed. Informed.
well, that's what's happening.
I think informed is a better way of putting it. I think exposed is more like the people who are doing lots of, I guess, like sneaking around to find out information about somebody to quote unquote expose, like in a malicious idea. Because I, for one, if I am supporting someone and if their morals don't align with the way I believe that their morals align, or where they have convinced me that that's how they believe in, I would want to know. Let's say they're team red. If someone's team red and they say I'm team red, I'm team red, I'm team red, and I go, okay, I'm team red because you're team red, but then somebody comes in and says, hey, this guy's not team red, he's team blue. Wouldn't you want to know that the person you look up to was team blue the whole time, kind of thing?
I mean, if they're saying that they're team red, some
Right.
people don't say that. Some people just do what they do, and then all of a sudden something comes out of nowhere. It's
So,
like,
in that way, so it brings back to the previous point. That way is cancel culture, where something unrelated to a situation that they're supporting
exactly.
doesn't align with what they've said. But if it's something that is out of nowhere that makes no sense in the contextual purposes, then that way it's a cancel culture kind of thing. But if I was saying I'm team red, and then somebody comes in and says, no, you're not, then that I feel like is a justified way of quote unquote cancel culture. But in a way where it's more of informing the viewers, hey, this person's not who they say they are. I'm leaving the decision up to you to decide if you want to still support that person, right? And it's a very unique thing because it falls into a line. Like even it happens in politics, right? It happens in politics all the time.
Yeah.
It's a huge political influence, and I think it falls in the line of any kind of person who has some sort of following or some sort of audience that they are speaking to or that's reaching out to them. I don't know. That's just I think it's a super specific thing for us as streamers, and it actually causes a lot of stress. Being careful of what you say and if you've contradicted yourself, because I can tell you I have definitely contradicted myself at some point in my stream career. I've talked paragraphs and paragraphs and paragraphs and paragraphs and paragraphs, right? I probably talked like over like 50 hours straight of just saying words before, right? Added collectively, and at some point I've probably said something but then gone back on it, and it's scary to think that somebody could catch that and then be like, this person isn't who they say they are, right? So I don't know. It's definitely a stress thing when it comes to being an influencer sometimes. Just watching in general, kind of what you're saying.
Yeah.
Do you ever get like anxiety over things that you say?
Sometimes. I was just thinking, like, for me, I think from the very beginning of VR, anyway, not before then, but I've really tried my best to be myself. And it sounds so simple, like, yeah, just be yourself. But a lot of people aren't. They're a persona, or they're disingenuous. I mean, they might be disingenuous, but they're not totally honest about who they are on stream. And so for me, just being honest and trying to be kind and never like
You can never fail, right?
You can never fail because you
never
don't have
fails.
to worry about that.
You have to think about something that you said
stress
that
of
you've
being,
been wrong about.
Exactly. You don't have to worry, oh,
Right.
did I lie? Like,
Right.
what did I say to this person? What did I say to this person? When you're genuine all the
Right.
time, like
You stay the same
you
path.
don't have to worry
You
about
stay the
that.
same
Yeah.
path, and it's never going to divert.
Number one rule.
What about
for
a
it.
dynamic personality that's changed? What about something that your constantly opinions are changing as you grow? If
Hey, what do you mean?
So let's say, for instance, somebody who's, I guess, what would you say? Maybe you believe in like communism, right? But something happens where your opinion changes to democracy, but it wasn't something that was so important to you. It just changed in the background, kind of thing. So the next time someone comes around and says, "Hey, where do you stand?" And you go, "Oh, I believe in democracy," kind of thing, right? But then somebody comes out, "No, you lied. You believe in communism."
Well,
But you kind of forgot about it. You didn't address that this is an opinion that's changed of yours, right?
I think it's so valid to change your mind about things. I think thoughtful
Right. I
people
think
change
changing
their
your mind is
on
so
things all the
frowned
time.
upon, right?
Yeah.
Isn't changing your mind just so frowned upon as someone looks at like?
I'm not frown upon it.
I feel like
'cause
there's
think if you
nothing
have a
wrong
legitimate,
with deciding differently because
if you have
thought
like
of
a
something else,
legitimate path where you're like, okay,
right?
My mind has changed because of this, and this reason.
Mm-hmm.
If you were just like, I changed my mind because it's cool to change my mind, or like I get some sort of benefit out of, maybe suddenly being like pro LGBTQ or whatever. That's an example.
Right.
Like, but it's totally disingenuous and you're a total hypocrite. Then like, I think people have the right to accuse you of being, a hypocrite. But if you can explain yourself and be genuine about it and be like, hey, I did believe in this, but this is why I changed my mind. And if you're just honest about what you believe and why you believed and why it's changed, I think it's okay. But yeah, two people do love to to point fingers. And
Yeah, I think
has
the,
anyone gone on you
no,
for changing your mind?
that's never happened to me. However, I
Yeah.
believe that based off of any kind of like general interaction you have with somebody, if there is some sort of inconsistency, the general synopsis of that particular incident, when there is an inconsistency in someone's personality, what is inconsistency a sign of? Lying, right? It's a sign of lying. It's a sign of some sort of deception. And not a lot of times do people default to, oh, well, maybe he changed his mind, right? That's not really a default that people will really go to. They mostly go to aim at a more negative reasoning behind someone's inconsistency. And I think that partially for me, because of that reasoning, when I think about something that I've said, I'm like, oh, well, what did I say before about that? Because I'm a very, very, I'm very, very truthful and honest and kind of sometimes brutally honest about how I feel about things. But because I'm always, I guess, like changing my opinions on things because I look at things in lots of different angles. Because of that, I'm afraid that, maybe at some point, some sort of, some sort of analysis that I've made has to have changed at some point. And not that I'm afraid of someone coming out of nowhere and saying, hey, Kuro, it doesn't actually truthfully think this. What are you talking about? It does concern me because I am someone who likes to share my opinions frequently. And I like to influence people and to kind of, put people on a path that I think is proper. So if I would have an inconsistency, e.g. changing my mind on something, the statements I've made earlier in that matter are now completely invalid because I've changed my mind. So it does give me anxiety because I've given many just unbelievable amount of advice to people, and when you change your mind on a piece of advice, you can't go back, right? You can't take that back from what that person's implemented into their life. So it does become a little concerning for me, and I think that it gets a little unsettling at times when I realize how much I'm changing and how fast I'm changing sometimes. So yeah, no, to answer your question, yes, it definitely. I think that at some point someone has have to noticed an inconsistency in my opinions. I think that overall though, me staying honest, like I know that I'm staying honest, but because those opinions change, there is those inconsistencies where it can appear like that I don't believe in something. I don't know.
Yeah. Can you think of an example of your opinion changing on something?
Streamers. That's a good example. Streamers. I hated streamers. Hated the freaking balls out of streamers. Before I started streaming, every time a streamer's in my lobby, I would be like, get me the hell out of here. There's a freaking streamer in my lobby. They're going to be cringe, or they're going to make stupid jokes, and they're going to try to be funny. But here I am, and I met a bajillion amount of streamers, and I have no problem. And I know that it only applies to a few things. I guess what's another good one? The way that I see people who trusted users, right? People who play VRChat on ends. I used to be like, oh, there's nothing wrong with like sitting in the mirror. But as I'm going to public worlds more often, I realize that the only thing people are at are mirrors. And I realize that a lot of interaction is severed because of that. And that's an opinion that I used to be like, it's not just trusted users and stuff like that. But most of the time it is. And most of the time, the people who are seen as annoying as hell are the ones that are trying just to have a conversation with someone at a mirror. Right? I feel like a lot of these new years that come by that are just coming up to someone and going, hey, what's up, dude? Right? People go and block them immediately because they're not sitting there standing at the mirror with them, And I think that's something that I at first was like, yeah, they're super annoying. I hate visitors. I hate new users. I hate those kind of people because they're so loud and annoying. But they're trying to learn the game and understand VRChat. But here we are blocking them and stuff. So, you could take something I've said before where I've been trashing on New Year's and stuff like crazy, but I actually take it back. And I think that a lot of people who are at mirrors and stuff need to learn how to welcome people to the game. And if that they are going to be I don't want to say conceited, but if they are going to be as secluded to sit in front of a mirror with their friends where they're in a public instance of a world where they could be in a friends where they're just like that and not really picking on new people, that they could go and do that. But again, that's a good example of things that I guess opinions that have changed of mine. I don't know. I could think about a bunch of them, but it goes on.
Interesting.
I feel like for me, like trust is like a really interesting thing. It's got a lot of there's a lot of layers to trust, and when you put all your trust in like an influencer that you like, and when they do slip up in something or when they kind of change their mind, I think that's what kind of puts people to be so aggressive about it. I guess because it's like imagine someone that you've looked up to like says something different than what they've been imposing the whole time, and I guess like that's probably what creates cancel culture, right? The idea and desire for people to have retribution for someone who's wronged them. They feel personally affected, and that's not even including people that have that what's it called parasocial relationship where they are literally believe this person that's on stream is so unbelievably attached to them. Like if you had somebody who looked up to you lied to you, would you want, I guess, retribution in general, or would you just want to know, or would you want to know the information and just decide for yourself? I guess
I would want to know the information and decide for myself. Like it also, I mean, I wish I had a yes or no answer to that, but I'm thinking like the seriousness of what they did. Like for instance, Bill Cosby. Yes, I want retribution for what he did because it was truly, truly horrible. But if it's like someone who maybe, I don't know, what's a lesser offense? Like
I guess like lying about something they've done
or something, or maybe lying.
Maybe
about
they did something
cool
super cool.
Done. I don't think they should get
Oh my
canceled for
gosh.
that, but they should,
I gotta tell you about something. I gotta tell both of you guys about something. This is someone I bring up about to Sweet all the time. Wings of Redemption. Do you know who Wings of Redemption is? Wings of Redemption is someone who used to be really big in the Call of Duty community. This is actually really relative because we're doing a podcast. He used to be really relative to the Call of Duty community way back in 2007, maybe 2008. OG days of YouTube, very early days of YouTube. This guy spent maybe like 4 or 5 years of his life lying about his life on a podcast that had recordings, right? Basically came up with all these like really awful jokes, lots of racist things he said, lots of pedophilic things he said. And there is a whole community of hundreds of people that go to his streams every day and harass the hell out of him for things that he said, years ago on podcasts. His excuse that he said that none of the things he said was true, and that he used it just to like stimulate the podcast or for like shock value. But all these people are like out for retribution because they all like looked up to him and all like gave him money and stuff and all like did things for him. But it's weird how the times changed on acceptable things. Right? That's
true.
Like there are two different F words, and one F word I can tell you is a word I will never say. And the other F word is a word that, we say all the time, right?
And that
changed.
That F word used to be whatever, okay to say.
It used to be more acceptable. It's times have changed so much, and maybe that's why a lot of people also get really scared of saying things because who knows how things are going to be in a couple of years from now, right?
Yeah, I mean you can only do your best, right? I mean you can't go back. I've said some pretty shitty things in the past.
No, yeah, everyone has. Everyone has. If you say you didn't, then you're freaking lying. Everyone said something they definitely like regret.
There's a difference of like saying it, but then like being a serial, doing it way too much and like spouting off the truly worst things over and over and over and over. I think people can forgive mistakes. But like repeated mistakes, I don't think. It's a lot harder to forgive. And ultimately, your word is the most important thing you have, right? So if you say something, and people go after you for it, I mean that's the way it is, like, right? I mean, I don't know.
All right, so we've been live for almost 2 hours, so I want to start wrapping up. But before, I have one more topic I want to talk about before we wrap up. Jax's partner push. Jax right now has been streaming for 480 something hours, I think. He's broken my
Legend.
previous stream record of
Yeah.
366. What do you think? Could you ever do a 480 hour
goals.
stream? Sweet, what do you think? Do you think you do a 480 hour stream?
I don't know how Jax is doing it.
He
That's
is-
a lot of
he-
hours. He has
I
a
can't
job and
believe
he
it.
sleeps.
He's a job.
He has a
He comes
job
home
and he
from work
sleeps.
and then does stream work.
You know what he does? He also, though, in the middle of his stream, because I was asking him, how do you, because he does a marbles race, but he does two while he's at work. I'm like, how do you do that? It makes sense. He remote, like,
He
at
remote
work,
desktops
he
the marbles?
remote desktops.
Is it
into
because
and
500
so-
laps is too short?
Yeah, it's
I
like
only
5
gotten like
hours
one of
or
his races
something.
before, I think.
Yeah. I want to say, and I say this all the time. I don't think I ever told you this, but I always tell people because people are constantly like, "Oh, girls, 300-hour stream."
When are you
one,"
gonna
and
do a
I'm like-
300-hour stream?
I'm like, you know what? One day I will beat Curl's record. I don't know if I can beat Blackjack.
Jax
my
is
friend
he's
Savvy
so
is
far.
doing something similar. I don't know how she does it, but she's doing a month-long stream herself, and I'm like, I
That's
have
insane.
IRL responsibilities, unfortunately.
Right.
And I want to think that I would, but even when I do like a 50-hour stream, and you saw me recently, I wasn't doing them straight, but I did a lot of 24-hour streams recently.
Right.
And even when, and I don't know if you felt this way, probably, like even when you're doing a sleep stream, my mind was so preoccupied with my stream, even while I was asleep.
No,
like,
I
the first
agree.
thing I
Like,
woke
my-
up, like,
my
I woke
eyes
up
were
to think
open.
about my stream.
Yeah.
I couldn't
My
stop thinking.
eyes were
about
literally
it.
open at looking at the I guess the chat scroll by. That's literally what I was doing.
Same.
No, it's so
It
that's
is so mentally exhausting, and I'm sure Jax is exhausted mentally in some way. I don't know. He seems like he's in good spirits, but you are so like dead at day
Yeah.
16.
Oh yeah. I
like-
think what makes him a little bit easier for him is that he has that ability to go out and go to like. I can tell you that 5
True.
minutes away from stream was literally heaven. Literally heaven. If I got to go to the
right.
bathroom, I would make sure to take the longest pee I possibly could. I would be
Yeah.
like, all right, guys, I'll be back. I was going to run to the bathroom really quick. It's going to take about 15 minutes.
It is different
So-
for you because your heart and soul was there the whole 16 days.
I think that's
He
why
could
it's a
not go to
little
work
bit
and he
different.
can-
Yeah, it's a little bit different. I don't think it takes away anything from what Jax is doing because I'm sure by now it's added
No.
up. It's only 8 hours for 5 days a week. The whole other time he's on stream, so it's not that much away from stream. So, but I can definitely tell you that regardless of where I was in my apartment and where I went, the idea of knowing no matter what, when I got back, I'm still on stream was the most annoying and stressful part. Is like, man, it's like you had this small relief of like, I'm not on stream, and but then you have to go back to the realization of you are still on stream, and I think that is actually more torturous than just staying on the stream. So I would almost argue that maybe what Jax is doing is even more torturous. Would you?
Can I
let's
ask
say,
you-
yeah, go ahead.
This might be so personal, and you don't.
No,
I'm
no,
just curious.
I'm
Did
ready.
it affect you and Sweet at all during that time? Was it hard?
That's a question for Sweet.
I would not recommend it at all to anyone who's in a relationship. But
Yeah, because it seems so hard.
I told him about it before it happened. Like, I
Yeah,
told you
yeah,
that it's gonna be long. I pretty much tried my best to prepare you about how long it was gonna be.
The reason I bring that up is because I was like, there's a trade-off, right? You're trading off that time you could spend with people you care
Oh yeah,
about.
no yeah.
And that's something that I'm super cognizant of just in streaming. Like, I don't want my. Do you have friends that are like that you don't hang out with anymore from the past
Because of
you're so busy? Yeah,
Uh,
because you stream and.
I
like,
would say not necessarily because I'm busy. Actually, this is a great segue into this other thing I was going to mention, and it's the idea of being mentally busy but not physically busy. It is where you could spend 30 minutes doing a really mentally taxing thing, e.g. writing an essay. How many times have you had a super long essay at school or like some sort of like test and you come back and you're done, you're shot for the day, right? But maybe the test only took 15 minutes. But it's because our body has two different reservoirs of energy and they feed into one another, where you can't use one without the other being full or having some sort of resource. So let's say your physical energy is completely full right now. You have a ton of physical energy, but you have no mental energy. How are you supposed to do your physical tasks, right? So now you say you have a bunch of mental energy but no physical energy, you're not going to be doing anything. You're laying in bed all day. So I think that when it comes to my capacity for maintaining friends, I spend, my 2 hours on stream talking and talking and talking. So when I'm done, I'm usually pretty done. I'm usually pretty dead for the day.
Yeah.
Sweet pretty much knows after I'm done stream, it's basically get ready for bed, kind of chill, and just kind of wind down. So if I were to use my energy source of mental capacity before the stream started, it would lower my ability to maintain my stream and stuff like that. So I think that, yes, to answer your question, yeah, I have definitely lost friends due to streaming. And it's not more of it's them not liking my stream or like in the direction I'm taking my life in, but it's more so I have to learn how to balance, I guess. But at the same time, I can only do so much. Does that make sense? You can only handle so many aspects of your life as a single person. You cannot have a perfect area in every single part of your life. It's just not practical.
Right.
So putting yourself first is the most important thing. You can't prioritize a connection with somebody over your own personal mental well-being. If you're sacrificing yourself for something, it's no longer benefiting, your growth as a person. But yeah, no, to answer your question, yes, I've absolutely lost friends. Absolutely, 110% lost friends due to the stream.
Something you told me on when I did my interview with you, which still resonates with me, and I say this all the time, is that you gotta surround yourself with people who understand, who won't guilt trip you.
No,
for,
doing
that.
Mm-hmm. So guilt tripping was something that it's awful. It's awful. It's a form of emotional abuse. Guilt tripping is a form of emotional abuse. But yeah, no, when Sweet, I guess when I was without Sweet, it sucked for me too. It wasn't just him. It wasn't just Sweet. A few times I messaged Sweet and I said I need you in VR tonight. Just come sleep and lay with me for a little bit. Just because it was so, it didn't actually really. I mean, I don't feel like it did. I don't feel like it affected our relationship in the long term, but short term wise, yeah, no, definitely, it definitely had some sort of impact of. On him, on me, on knowing that I wasn't able to be there privately with him. However, I told him from the beginning that no matter what, if he actually couldn't handle it and needed me to end stream, that I would. That was the only reason that I would actually end stream, because I do prioritize my relationship over my stream, if that makes sense. It's not a if he wanted to have a head pat, that I drop everything in my mother to head pat, but if it actually felt like a detrimental situation in regards to the relationship I have with him, then I would take action. But I told Sweet before it started that it was going to be, it's like a business trip is what I said. Basically it's like going on a business trip. How would
it's working overtime but never being able to leave because your chat continues to freaking
true.
And I was getting I was like, man.
I think when it got towards the end, everyone was over it though. It got to the point where
some people weren't.
That's true. I feel like you definitely reach a point of where everyone kind of has this kind of vibe of dude, this needs to end. And I think that the last 5 minutes, everyone started kind of realizing it's time. It's time here. Because after I got another 100 subs or something like that after it was all done. So it could have definitely gone on much longer. But I was telling Sweet that this is going to be the last day. This is done. And the one day where it didn't end, I was so sad and upset. There was one moment where the actual subathon was last hour. It was the last hour, and fucking Ron memed on me and gave me another hour or something like that. And then everyone and their mother added on more and more and more time. And I was like, no. And I was mad at Ron for a good hour. I was mad at Ron, legitimately mad at him for a good hour. I was like, I can't believe you just did that, dude. Because I literally, if he didn't do it, no one would have done anything. But I remember like I told Sweet, I was like actually genuinely upset. I was like that had happened, because I told him like tonight would be the last night. Like this is actually gonna be it. And then I think Sweet stopped believing in like the last day, quote unquote. Like Sweet literally gave up
No,
hope.
I
You
never
literally
believed.
gave up hope.
I
You're
mean,
like,
there's
this is
that
it.
wall meme for like since after
Never.
day 2, you
It
had
was
the
so
wall
bad.
meme.
The wall meme. Oh my god.
Would you would do it again though, right?
Oh yeah, no, in a heartbeat, in a heartbeat. I even told Sweet, like, you know,
Mine's so
I even told
funny.
him after the subathon ended, I asked him, you know, would you be okay in June? And he said, yeah. But the thing is, like, it's a mutual thing. You know, it's not like a this is only I can do this kind of thing. Like if Sweet was gone for like 2 weeks, like yeah, it would suck. It would suck ass. It would be awful. But it's not. It's not. You have to, and this is something that me and Sweet I think do better than any relationship I've ever been in. You have to have separate lives. You have to have your own life, your own career, your own path, things that you want to do with yourself. You cannot have a forever intertwined path for the rest of forever, because it gives you no room to live your own life. And I think that that's what Sweet and I do. On maybe we do it too well sometimes, but the thing is, like, he's got a job and a career and stuff like that, and it's not like he's at work all day. I'm like, you know, bothering the hell out of him. I'm letting him do his life. And, you know, if he goes out with a friend after work, it's not like I'm ragging on him, I guess, after it and being like, where were you? You know, he's got a life. He's got friends. He's got people that he wants to hang out with.
The other thing I've learned is like you have to be patient and like, you know how you say you sign a contract when you start dating someone? Like sometimes the
I
contract
always say that. Yeah.
changes a little bit, and like
Yeah.
you don't want to have to rely on them for your happiness. Like
yeah,
least
no, you
physically,
can't. You can't.
right?
You can't rely on a single
can't,
person for anything. You have to.
And not in a bad way, yeah.
Yeah, I think there's nothing wrong with falling back on someone, but to rely on them as your only source of X thing is absolutely you can't go to one specific thing for that thing that you need. You have to have multiple sources. It doesn't mean it can't be your best source, right? You know, I would still say Sweet's my main source of happiness, but it doesn't mean he's my only source of happiness, right? I think that's a good way of putting it. I feel like this is where I should say like I love you or something. But no, I have I think like if you were gone for like 2 weeks, like it would suck, but it's something I wouldn't ever say you couldn't do something like that or whatever. It's your life, and it's up to me to find something for me to do productive, if that makes sense. Like I think you were really productive too while I was gone. I think you did a lot of things. So because I mean, it just shows that you have different lives, and I think that if somebody that you dated wasn't okay with you having your own life, I wouldn't date that person to begin with. I think that's why like I started dating you, is that like I kind of already had this vibe of you like, you know, wanting. I think you said that you were afraid that I was going to be too clingy when we started dating. I think that was like one of your concerns, that I was going to be too clingy. I am not a super clingy type. I used to be. I definitely used to be, but I kind of had these concerns of like people like leaving me and stuff. But that's changed. I'm not really the clingy type anymore. I'm much more super relaxed. But I think it's because I'm so comfortable, like in the relationship with you, is why I'm really relaxed. It's because I don't have to worry about anything. So I've never ever, except for one instance, ever worried about anything regards to Sweet's personal life and involving me in it.
And
Like
I think
literally never.
That's so sweet.
honesty is number one. Like
That's why.
helping that. And then I also happen to value freedom, so it's like
Sure.
those two things are just like perfect. That's all I need.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever said that like you have to do so. I think I guess like the podcast thing is something that, like we had like both mutually wanted to do together. But I think like I've never demanded anything, you know. I've never demanded anything ever. And I think demanding something from a partner is unhealthy. I think you have to have a mutual desire to fulfill whatever it is, I guess. And I think mutual understanding of freedom is important to a healthy, like lasting relationship of like understanding that you both have separate lives. So I can understand that having a clingy person who needs something, like specifically like needs the attention and needs the stuff, could be really hard for somebody who's like not, you know. We definitely have to wrap up here. So we're going to start the wrap up. It was a really good start to podcast.
We didn't talk about your outro.
We didn't talk about anything. That's okay. But anyway, chat. So we're going to start the wrap up. The wrap up is basically going to be a segment of the show where you guys can go ahead and let me just go ahead and grab
your chat here.
My chat box and bring it over. Chat, if you want to just send some message really quick, put on a little bit of quiet music, and we will start the wrap up. So the wrap up is basically you guys can drop any question that you like for Girls for the cast of the podcast or whatever you want. And why is my chat box not appearing? Hold on just a moment. Having minor technical difficulties. That's okay. Oh no. Where is my chat? I might have to do a jank chat for this one just until I get another one back.
Jank.
Oh yeah, super jank. Super jank.
Yeah.
Where is my chat box? What the heck? Let me test alerts really quick. Okay, that works fine.
I guess you are my little pog champ. Come here.
Let me try. Oh, here we go. All right, I'm using a jank chat box for now. Mind how jank it is. All right.
Jank box.
I'll fix it. I'll fix it next time. Chat, just can anyone say anything? Can anyone type anything? Just anything at all? Let's see, make sure this works. All right, cool. All right, yeah, I see you guys. Okay, you can stop. All right, jank chat box time. So basically, right here is the chat. You guys can go ahead and drop any questions you want for any of us on the show here. Again, this Sweet Heat, me, Kuro, and Girls are our guest for the show. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. How tall am I? What? How tall? Yeah. So here's how we'll do it. Here's how we'll do the format for the question or the wrap up. So during the wrap up, you can put the person's name and the question. So you could do like Sweet Heat and then question, like Kuro and then question, Girls and then the question. That way we know who is answering the question, and then whoever sees the question. So, Girls. Bobzu says, do you ever regret putting those kick me notes on Kitty DVR's back?
I regret I didn't do that, but I regret not doing that. No, I would never do that. I think I once did that, and I felt so terrible afterwards that I never did it again, but that's such a classic joke. I don't know. But then once you actually kick someone, it's like, oh, that hurts. No, I don't want to.
Oh, yeah. Let's see. Kura, how tall are you? I'm 5'6".
You're 5'6". I'm 5'6" too.
I'm freaking 5'6", dude.
I'm 5'6".
I'm short AF.
Shorties.
Oh my gosh, I know why my chat box isn't appearing. I'm so dumb.
You're 6'5".
I'm dumb. I know why it wasn't appearing.
Half black side of me, I guess.
I'm not bald.
Oh! You are now. Sheesh,
Oh my word.
Why am I so bald? I say,
What the heck? That's fire. I've never seen that before. Ew, look, Krillin. Let's go.
Krillin.
There we go.
So like, people ask that. Like, that's not a question I can answer. Why are you so bald? It's like I was at a restaurant and the waitress. It's like, why are you so bald?
Oh my god.
That's not a question. It's a rude question, Myra. First of all, how can you ask me? That's so mean.
Girls. So what are your goals in life?
Stress, though. That's a good question. Someone asked me that recently.
Lord is asking that. Lord S.
My friend I was talking about, my friend since I was 13, they interviewed me for their PhD. They're, what are your goals in your life? And when it comes down to it, I really just want to be, this sounds so lame. Oh, maybe it doesn't, but I just want to be kind to people. I want people to feel comfortable. I want people to feel good about themselves.
I'm living proof of that. I'm living proof. You literally made me feel very, very comfortable, and I think that's actually a lot of my outgoingness towards other streamers is literally owed to you. I always make sure to mention that. That's the reason why.
I'm really happy. Like I want people to have a positive experience, more positive than negative, and they have other dreams. Like I do. I want to write a movie. I'm working on that. I want to.
Okay. What to talk about next time we have the show? I want to hear more about that. Sheesh. All right. This is for everyone. Do you love yourself? I do love myself. I think I'm pretty pog.
Nice.
What about you, girls? You love yourself?
God damn it! Why am I? Sometimes I do, and sometimes I don't. I'm doing a lot better at loving myself than
Hmm.
I used to when I was younger, for sure. I can't. I want to say I want to answer yes, but then there's some times when I'm so
Where
down on
you're
myself,
down.
and
Yeah, no, I feel
Yeah.
that.
I'm
Dynamic. It's a
so
dynamic
anxious.
thing for you.
But
I understand that.
generally, and I do something every morning, which is I write down the things that I'm grateful for and
Uh-huh.
things that I'm proud of myself
That's a good
for, and I do it
exercise.
every single morning.
That's a very good exercise. I think acknowledging things that you're happy with is really important. I think I tell Sweet all the freaking time how much I love my life, how much my life is so like wonderful. I think I tell him that all the time, and I think it's important to remind yourself that, or else you're gonna be desensitized and kind of feel stale, I guess. So I look at streaming as like I've been full-time streaming for a year. I get to play video games in my room for a year. So I love it. It's the greatest life ever.
You said that on when I interviewed you. You said
I love my life. I will
yes,
never, ever deny that. I live the greatest life ever.
And I
This
didn't
is what people
realize
dream
that,
about.
That's
People
part
dream
of
about
my.
this.
That was part of my dream too. Is just to have my own place, specifically have my
Yeah,
own place where I can
yeah.
do whatever I wanted.
Hey,
I
and you're
can
there.
stream and hang out with friends, and it's great.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Girls, do you have any plan? This is from MP or Empathion, sorry. Or was there any plans for your streaming online content creation? If so, what?
Wait, let me look. Do you have any plans for your streaming online content creation? If so, what? Oh, I just want to mention real quick too, just real quick. If you don't love yourself, it's really hard to love other people and to treat
Truth
treat
to your
yourself
mother.
well,
That's why I
and,
waited
like,
so long to get into a relationship.
Yeah,
That is so true. That's very true.
Yeah, like I said,
It's not just something
I've
people
been
say.
kind of on a film binge lately. I was a writing major, and like actually one of the initial reasons I wanted to get into VR or social VR was because I loved the RP and the acting
Right.
portion of it. And I think it's such an amazing platform to create. So yeah, I've been I've been writing a lot of stuff lately. I don't know about a full length movie yet, but I'm writing stuff for short
Mhm.
movies, and I have a lot of ideas. By the way, if anyone is interested in acting or anything, or not directing, but like being a camera person or being extra,
Are
please
you
DM me and let me
making a
know.
film in VR?
Yes, I would love to soon. And me and a few friends have been talking about it.
Index exclusive. Girls is planning a VR film.
I am, and not
You
just
heard it here
one.
first,
One of
boys.
I told Etiquette this. One of my biggest goals is to create a community of people who are acting and like building together and like working, because you see
Oh my
like certain
gosh.
people in movies and like they're all in the same movies, like
Yeah.
there's like a troupe. Like I would love to create a troupe of like creators and actors, but like also I'm not gonna name any names, but have it not be toxic, like have it be super inviting, have it be super warm and a
I
safe place
totally
to, like,
feel
have
that. That is a goal. That was a goal of mine, and I trashed the idea. I wanted to, you know what machinimas are? I wanted to make a machinima in VRChat, but I threw away the idea. I threw away the idea because it was so much work.
Wait, what
and
is
I
a
was like, I
machinima?
can't.
I don't even know what that is.
It's a word that's derived from
term.
machine cinema, which basically means a film using in virtual space. So, for instance, machinimas, one of the first things was Halo machinimas. Halo 1, where Combat Evolved. There's a group called Rooster Teeth, and they made movies using Halo avatars, Halo characters in the game. And they would just kind of run around. But I thought when I first came to VRChat, the first idea I came up was a film in VRChat. And then there's this whole other culture side to it, which is a little bit too much to get into right now. We could definitely get into next time or next week or whatever, depending on who we have. But basically, like, I saw VRChat and I saw cameras and I was like, this has to happen. Someone needs to make a real serious movie. And, it's evolving. And that's definitely a culture right now. We'll definitely take a few more questions. I think we definitely need to wrap up soon. It's getting a little late. Let's see. Sweet Heat, do you have a bucket list? And if so, what's something later down the line that you want to accomplish? This is asked by X Trixu.
Bucket list. I want to freaking meet you, Trix. That's what I want to do. And I want to go to Burning Man. And I want to freaking... I want to do a backflip. There's so many things I want to... There's so many things. I want to meet everyone who's a friend in VR at some point.
Yeah. Are you guys
And
going to
hang out with
TwitchCon?
them, dance and
Oh yeah,
stuff. That's
TwitchCon. Yeah, TwitchCon's
important.
absolutely another thing.
I'm
San Diego
going.
though.
I am so excited to go.
I think
and-
Sweet wanted
and
to go
yeah.
to Amsterdam, but I want to do. I'm just gonna do.
Oh,
I would
yeah.
love to go.
I
to
can't. I
Europe.
can't afford to
Amsterdam.
go to EU1. I can't afford to take.
afford
it.
either.
I can't
wanna
afford
one
it.
day. Let's
It'd be
go
cool,
one
but
day.
that's too much money. I'm gonna have like a
Oh,
Twitch
awesome.
con fund basically. I'm gonna like probably do a fundraiser for it, but
You're
not until way
sugar
later
daddy
down the line.
to go to Amsterdam if you want to.
Baby,
Oh.
God,
Do you want to red light district with me?
that's like the first thing.
You know,
that
I
came to my mind.
actually have been there. but
God,
I was like 13 at the time. I was just on a Europe
Oh.
tour. With
wow,
my
and this is
You
a
family.
gotta
story
go
you're
when you're
not
older
sharing.
now.
Wow,
Come on.
wow, okay.
They're window girls. Anyway, that's the end of the story.
Oh my
Oh.
lord! Oh, girls in the red light district. Oh my God.
Moving to the
People
back.
arrive. Oh my God, I love your outfit. You want to come home with me? All right, next question. Next question. Let's see.
I'm
Let's see.
not a window
Oh,
girl.
girls, this is from Kanashi Noir. They say,
This chair, bro.
maybe this has already been asked, but if you woke up tomorrow and decided that you wanted to stop streaming and pursue other things, what would it be?
I mean, I already said that I always wanted to pursue
Right.
like film writing and film creating, and I think that actually will be one of my main pursuits, if not the main one. Streaming will always be there, but I think I might put a little bit more effort into the other content creation. And I actually, I did a bunch of, I wasn't amazing at it, but I did like do stand up and stuff, and I tried to be in plays, and I was going to go for being a voice actor, so I did want to go that route, but thankfully I don't have to go the Hollywood route, but I would love to pursue that.
Hollywood
And the
route.
other thing, I guess,
Sheesh.
Hollywood route, that's a whole nother topic
Oh,
we
yeah.
could talk about forever, but or music, I think, is the second one. That's one of my goals.
Music,
is
I think that totally suits you.
To write an album. I would love to write my first album. I've only written a couple songs so far, but eventually you get enough songs together, you have an album. So probably music, and probably looking cute. I think that's my number one goal right now. Is
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not in the best shape because I'll blame the pandemic, but really it's on me. And to look my
Hey,
my
that's not even
cutest by
blaming none.
TwitchCon. That's my
Unstable
my
ground.
goal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Unstable.
Cool.
Okay, one more question, and we'll wrap it up. Oh, girls, are you ever going? Oh, it's for you. Oh, girls from Kitty DVR. Are you ever going to do those skits and things you mentioned wanting to do since you want to do a film?
Yeah. I mean, I tie that into short films, like sketches to me are short films, right?
Right.
They're just maybe 2 or 3 minutes or 1 minute, but yeah. Yes, and I know I haven't done anything yet, but I'm kind of just in the writing process right now, but I am very, very close to it. I'm just like imagining, because like for me anyway, it's hard for me to be like, all right, I'm just gonna do this today.
Yeah.
Like make a movie today. Like there's a little bit more that goes into that, because I want to like make worlds for it. I want to make custom
avatars,
I wanna
toggles,
do
equipment,
music.
stuff like that. I totally get that.
Yeah.
That's the reason why I didn't do it, because there's so much that has to go into it.
There is,
And like
but-
it's like the camera work alone is a whole learning curve. Like
Right. Yeah,
it's a
I'm
whole
actually
learning
kinda
curve.
worried about
There's
that.
I think that what I did is I made a small short 1 minute 30-second skit of lots of like moving around and lots of actions with people in the background, things like that. That was my test run, and that took me like a week to figure out, and like let alone the logistics of getting people together and stuff like that. But I'm totally supportive of your idea of doing that. If you need me for anything, because I definitely have like experience in that. Because
I'd definitely
some
love
long
to
time
talk
ago,
about
your
it.
boy made a machinima in Halo.
Yeah.
But
Wow, really?
so yeah, I don't want to talk about it. It's in the vault of cringy videos. But it's in the vault of cringy videos that your boy used to make back in the day. But yeah, no, I definitely support you in that. I'm actually so on board with that. If you need help,
That makes me so happy. That's one of the things. Like also, before I had VR, I would say this stuff to my friends, and like no one would be like, "Oh, I'm so for that. I'll help you out." But
culture,
like suddenly,
VR
I
culture.
have-
That's
yeah,
so-
so many people who want to create, who want to be part of something like that, and it just makes me really happy.
Oh yeah, for sure. All right, let's wrap it up. Chat, guys, thanks so much for being here. O-Girls, thank you for being here. Thank you for being our guest. Where can we
Thank you
get
for
more
having me.
O-Girls
I
action at?
am at twitch.tv/ogirls, OGURLZ. I'm on Twitter as well, and I have a YouTube which I'll be posting the stuff on. You guys are inspiring me to start doing interviews again. The last one I did was too long ago. It was with Kuro, but I'd love to do one with Sweet, and I think it's a great idea to actually do it while you're streaming. I think that's it. But I have my Twitch. That's probably the main place that you can check me out. Twitch.tv/ogirls.
Sounds good. Thank you so much for being here, chat. Thank you guys for being here for the first episode of the Index Podcast. This is Sweet Heat, co-host, and me, your host, and O-Girls, our special guest. Thank you guys so much for being here. Hope you guys know the show. If you are new here for the show, this is the first time seeing the podcast, this is our very first episode. It will be on YouTube. I will see you guys in a little bit. We're going to close out here. Not gonna shout out Sweet. Sweet's gonna be on every show, Lord. Sweet is the co-host of the show. He's gonna be on every show. All right, guys. Thank you so much again for being here. I'm gonna close you guys out with the closing scene. I don't have an outro. We were thinking about figuring out an outro, but I don't know what to do. That was gonna be a topic we were gonna talk about, but I guess I'll have to save it for another time. But thank you guys so much for the show. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Catch you guys later. I'll be back in a little bit for a quick Kuro announcement. So if you guys are here for Kuro stream, there will be a Kuro announcement for my stream after in just a little bit. So thank you guys again. See you guys later.
Bye.
Bye bye.